call it that. Anyway, that'll be coming up as well here on KPNW.
Since we're talking about things coming up, Lise Wheel in the 7 o'clock hour with her traditional routine, nothing routine about it, but we have her on every Wednesday at about 7:27. Fox News legal analyst. After that, a conversation that I have been looking forward to now for about a week and a half. Frank Lally, who has worked with a ton of different magazines. He calls himself now an investigative journalist. He had a health issue himself, and it kind of pulled him into the medical industry as far as, okay, I got to report on this because I need help. He found some I wouldn't say loopholes, but different routes to go. You look at the expensive healthcare. It is, when people lose everything to take care of themselves or a loved one, that ain't overstating anything. It is extremely expensive. It is high profit. And if you should be one of those people that either in the future or right now needs a little help, I'm hoping Frank will be able to kind of throw some things out there. He wants to promote the book, get some books sold, but if there's a tidbit or two where people can kind of glean something from conversation, I'm hoping that happens at 7:40. And then Denise from the Pacific Continental Bank, she's a president.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to be in.
She'll be in coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. All right, that's what you got. Sun to look forward to. A beautiful day, not too hot, not too cold. I think kind of perfection. Appreciate it today. You might not have it, what you consider a perfect day coming up this weekend. 51 currently at News Radio 1120 KPNW.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. So our highly skilled technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort. To call.
When you think fishing or firearms, think Mazama.
Local family-owned Mazama is your fishing headquarters with brands like G. Loomis, St. Croix, Shimano, Daiwa, and a variety of locally made products tailor-made for this region. Team Mazama is eager and knowledgeable.
Plus, they offer layaway on firearms and fishing gear.
Pick up your hunting and fishing license while you're there. Conveniently located on West 11th in the same parking lot as Lowe's. Get to Mazama and get hooked on the good life. When you think fishing or firearms, think Mazama.
And now for the main event. It's the next generation of from Umpqua Dairy. It's red, it's retro, and it's now showing in a store near you. Now it's time to deliver a fresh new look. The package may have a new look on the outside, but it still contains the high-quality, creamy goodness on the inside. Remember, Umpqua ice cream is always a G-O-O-D good idea.
I've been teaching organic chemistry for the last 17 years, so I'm pretty good with complex calculations. But when I started thinking about my retirement, I was pretty stumped. Luckily, I have TIAA as my financial partner. Together, we retrosynthetically analyzed my financial future, which is organic chem speak for we figured it out.
Your personal success takes a financial partner who values it as much as you do. Learn more at TIAA.org.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio offer.
Welcome to Move Time Radio, presented by the Arthritis Foundation, and we're smack dab in the middle of our dance-a-thon to fight arthritis pain. Me, I've been grooving for 10 hours straight, baby, but I'm a boogie machine. See, movement is just one of the ways to help fight osteoarthritis pain. Another is weight loss. You get rid of just 1 pound. That's 4 pounds of pressure off each knee. For more information on managing pain, visit fightarthritispain.org. Then meet me on the dance floor. This message brought to you by the Arthritis Foundation and the Ad Council.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. We've got mild conditions out there right now with temps in the upper 40s to low 50s. Light winds out of the north at 5 to 10 with mostly clear skies. And I am tracking some patchy light fog off and on out there. But that'll be gone by about 10 a.m. Now we are between storm systems at this point. The high pressure that cooked us a couple of days ago has pulled way off to the east. And the approaching storm system, well, it won't be reaching us until Friday afternoon in the evening. So in the next couple of days, fairly mild pattern. Mostly clear skies in the afternoon with highs only in the mid-70s to a couple of low 80s out there. We'll get to about 76 here in town. Late in the afternoon, winds will pick up out of the northwest at 5 to 10 with a few gusts up to 15, but shouldn't be as breezy as it was yesterday. Now, we are tracking a major storm system headed this way. Latest data suggests it will start to pull towards us, and sometime Friday afternoon into the evening, it'll come onshore, bringing showers, maybe even a few isolated thunderstorms out to the coast. Then it sits over the Pacific Northwest right through the weekend, rotating energy. What does that mean? Simply put, showers off and on throughout the weekend, and temps, they're going to be back into the mid to upper 50s for highs. Prepare for fall. It's going to be a fairly wet and cool weekend, but between now and then, decent weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Wayne County, Oregon, and the nation. Hear it here every day on the Wake Up Call. Holloway in London and News Radio 1120 KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. So we start off this segment with a rhetorical question. What about the millennials? Who are the millennials going to vote for this presidential election? Or are they even going to vote? Current polls show Clinton getting about 37% of the millennial vote, Donald Trump about 29%. But we've seen these polls go back and forth. Still, though, the gap is narrowing between Clinton and Trump. And to talk about it this morning, she is the president of the Millennial Solution. She's the author of the new book, The Millennial Entrepreneur, Gabrielle Boucher, joining us on the Wake Up Call. Gabrielle, thank you for being with us this morning.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
So, are you a millennial?
I am, in fact. At 27 years old, I'm smack dab in the middle of the millennial generation.
All right. What is the Millennial Solution?
So the Millennial Solution is our company. We work with companies around the world to help them not only tap into their millennial talent, but we help them understand not only marketing, but attraction and retaining the next generation. And we really specialize in millennial motivation. What motivates a millennial to stick with your company and get excited about your vision?
Okay. Things that I have seen and read suggest that millennials may be one of our most entrepreneurial generations in decades. I think the latest stats are about 70% of today's 20-somethings actually want to start their own business. My question is, if that is the case, why aren't more of them at this point potentially in favor of Donald Trump?
Yeah, it is interesting to know that we have such a high rate of interest in starting our own companies that 67% of us say one day we want to start our own companies. Unfortunately, neither candidate, Hillary Clinton nor Donald Trump, have done an effective job at capturing the millennial vote. One of the reasons is because they have not talked about this entrepreneurial spirit. Which candidate would really make the possibility of starting a company here in the United States more possible? Of course, as a business leader himself, Donald Trump would be a natural fit for that. And we are really looking to him to see how he switches his messaging to talk directly to the millennial entrepreneur or the wannabe entrepreneur and says, I see you, I'm listening to you, I'm on your side.
Okay, I wonder, though, if part of the reason that neither of the candidates really have reached out to the millennials is they just scratch their head and go, what do these people even want? Think about it. Millennials, for a lot of folks over the age of about 40, are sort of this, giant question mark. It's like, what the hell motivates them? Is that maybe part of the reason is that they just don't know how to focus a message at millennials?
Absolutely. I think many in leadership, whether we're talking about political leadership or in business leadership, people look at our generation and say, you guys are huge. There's 83 million of you here in the United States. How do I crack that egg? But it's fascinating to note 43% of my generation actually wants companies to ask us our opinion. We actually want to be a part of the process of either making a product or, in this case with the election, voting for a president. So really the onus is on our leaders to reach out to the millennial generation and say, what do you think about this? How can we incorporate you more? We want to know that you are seen and heard and a part of this process. And that is really what is going to switch millennials who are right now on the fence to being solidly in one camp or the other.
Do you expect that there is going to be a shift in messaging with either of the candidates, more than just some sort of cursory, oh yeah, you 20-somethings, I'm listening to you?
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to need to happen. What we saw with the debate earlier this week, Hillary Clinton only had a cursory notice of possibly having a debt-free college solution, and Donald Trump didn't really make any mention of it in regards to specifically at 20-something. So if you're going to capture millennials, you're going to have to do something more than just, wave your hand at us. You're going to have us come and sit at the table with you. And that's not the kiddie table. I'm talking about the real negotiation table.
Okay, but I think a lot of people, particularly those who have paid their dues, would say, you know what, you're 20-somethings. You haven't paid your dues yet. You haven't earned a spot at the negotiating table because you just don't have the experience yet.
It's interesting that you say that. Those are some of the phrases that we've found that millennials most disassociate with leaders, is saying you haven't earned it, you have to wait your turn, you have to climb the career ladder. Millennials are demanding respect, not only because we are such a large demographic, but also, too, because we want to be taken seriously. We've graduated into an economic recession where many of us have been thrown into jobs that we feel ill-prepared for, and so we want to have relationships with those in leadership over us. So when it comes to the candidates looking at us, it would be very unwise for them to say, I don't need to reach out to you and to try. It's really about humble leadership right now to say which one of the candidates is going to take the biggest step towards millennials to see how quickly they'll start to respond and take a step towards them as well.
You mentioned debt-free college as sort of a carrot. So is that what the millennials want? They want basically a free ride?
I think some do. I think free anything sounds great to anyone, right? But I think more and more millennials are starting to realize that there isn't anything like a free lunch, that millennials do want to have skin in the game, and that they realize that there has to be a solution that actually makes sense. Bernie Sanders really won over the millennial demographic, not just because he was talking about free college. So many people were so shocked at how someone who didn't wear skinny jeans or have, a hipster haircut could so relate to millennials. But he did really well with this demographic because he listened, he was open, and he said, your issues are my issues. That's what both these candidates are going to have to do if they're going to win millennials on November 8th.
All right. We appreciate your call this morning. Take care, Gabrielle.
Thanks for having me.
All right. She is the author of the new book, The Millennial Entrepreneur, Gabrielle Boucher, on the Wake Up call this morning. 647. Give me free stuff. I want to be at the table. I don't know. I mean, I understand where, you want to be taken seriously. I also believe, though, that there is a certain point where you have to earn your way to the table.
Yeah, but if somebody said that to you, ever in your life, how would you respond to that?
Well, I mean, that I wouldn't say those exact words, but, that in essence has been implied. I mean, how long have you been in radio?
Oh, my God.
And
years.
When you were working part-time or overnights and you were the new kid on the block, were people sitting there going, oh, well, let's ask the part-timer, what do you think of this idea? Do you think we should do this? I mean, the good bosses will see that a person has talent, and they will start mentoring them. But they're not just going to sit there and go, you know what, we're going to change everything because the overnight guy says he thinks we, need to be giving away s'mores.
I think you're making a big mistake, and you're making a comparison of two different, apples and oranges for the cliche comparison. Because, to compare me, for one thing, we don't have overnighters now.
But we used to.
But yeah, back in the day, I would say my attitude was remarkably different than somebody coming in, today.
Well, yeah, because the ones that come in today come in and they just think that you owe it to them. This is my point about the millennials. Whereas you used to come in and you go, okay, I will do as much stuff as I possibly can and, learn as much as I possibly can so I can earn my way to a daytime shift, or even a night shift, 6 to midnight, or, God help you, if you're a part-timer and somebody says, our midday guy is going to be gone next week, can you fill in? Yes. How high do I have to jump? How many backflips do I have to do?
Sick riding a bike, because I did that. Yeah, that's my point.
And that's
the whole idea is that people today, you tell them, hey, you gotta kind of work your way up, and you're gonna get, in some, not everybody. We're generalizing, but across the board, I would say on average, you would get a little pushback if you had to work and kind of be kind of work your way up the intern role, unless you're coming from complete.
Right. Well,
different industry.
My point is that, my belief is that you get to have a place at the table when you actually work and earn your way to the table. Just because you walk through the door and you get a job doesn't necessarily mean that you get to be part of the planning. You earn your way into that. You prove yourself on the job, and then people start going, you know what? This gal, this guy, they've got chops. What do you think? We're going to do this. I'm just curious. I do think, though, on the flip side of that businesses, in a lot of ways, do a horrible job of mentoring new employees, young employees. I'm talking about people that maybe don't have a lot of job experience. They do a horrible job. Where she said they get thrown into these jobs and they feel like they're over their head, that to me is a sign of really poor management.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know if it's because the way things have changed, where you've got fewer people doing more jobs.
So you just don't have time to do it.
It's a time limitation, or it's just that, particularly if you have a job, an occupation where there's seems to be a revolving door, where you just look at them and go, oh, here's the next failure that walked through, and they don't want to waste their time on it because they just don't have any expectation that person's going to last. I think that may be a little bit of it. And I think the other part of it is that people just don't, in some jobs, they just don't care about their job enough that they want to take the time to do it. It's just like, figure it out yourself.
But I'm thinking of a situation, I'm thinking of a business where the owner of the company had the wisdom, had the knowledge, and I couldn't tell if it was him not wanting to impart and to share, or if he found, didn't find a receptive audience. And so but there was such a disconnect. I'm like, why isn't he?
Well, sometimes
it's a promotion of the business.
Was he the owner?
Yeah.
Was this person the owner? Okay, then I don't get it. If it's a manager, sometimes managers, bad managers, in my opinion, will not teach their employees all the things that they could be teaching them because they want to protect their own butt. It's the job security thing. Well, if that person knows what I do and what everybody else does, that puts me at risk. I think that's, sign of a bad manager. But as an owner, I don't know. On the flip side, I know of a business owner who took this girl in as a kind of like an intern and is working with this person to be a PR individual, to learn about business and be PR. And, as part of that, he actually reached out to me and said, would you mind letting this person pick your brain for a while? I mean, he actually finds people that are out there in the business community and says, go out, talk to them, learn what you can from them. That kind of management, that kind of boss is the perfect kind of boss if you're in an entry-level job. Somebody that says, I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of things, and I'm going to introduce you to people who maybe can teach you more things that I don't understand.
Few and far between.
But I would say that guy, that's good business.
Unfortunately, if you got a good boss, good supervisor, if you work with good people, I would say you can add a couple of bucks more that you're not getting that route, because not everybody has that same situation. Hey, 6:55, we got a break. Hour number 2 coming up. Don't forget, we've got gold tickets for the bull. I mean, this is like, in racing, we'd call these pit crew. I mean, you're down and dirty and with some good seats. $300 a pop. And they're coming up on 1120 KPNW.
Welcome to the show that really stinks. Odor Events, brought to you by Citrus Magic. Today, the Jones family will name all the odor events they can in 30 seconds. Ready? Go!
Rotten garbage can.
Yes, Molly.
Ew, musty basement.
Good. Jimmy.
Poopy diaper.
Yep. Haley.
Smelly socks.
Yes, Dave.
Stinky litter box.
Yes, Molly.
Ugh, funky fridge fumes.
Good. Jimmy.
Potty odor PU.
Yes, Haley.
Dad's feet. Wait, cat pee.
You're out of time. I'm sorry. See you again next week for
That's squirrel.
Odor Events, the show that really stinks.
Get rid of the odor events in your home with Citrus Magic. The strength of its citrus makes odors disappear, leaving the fresh scent of natural citrus. Look for Citrus Magic in the air freshener aisle in Target, Kroger, Safeway, Publix, Walmart, and other fine stores everywhere.
I'm Gary Conley with today's Money Minute. Recently, I've been talking about risks to the banking system posed by the economic turmoil caused by the British leaving the European Union. However, the biggest risk to the system is actually Deutsche Bank, Germany's largest. According to a damning 63-page report recently issued by the International Monetary Fund, analyzing the German banking and insurance sector, Deutsche Bank is the single biggest risk to the global banking system. If Deutsche Bank is on the brink of a crisis, something that seems quite possible or even likely, the effects will be felt worldwide, with the financial system again stuttering or worse. But first, the effects will be felt in Germany, so it's important to carefully monitor what's going on there. Here's the nugget. Deutsche Bank is not just Germany's biggest bank. Because of its history, it plays an important political role in the country, too. There are 2 other big German banks, Dresdner Bank and Commerzbank. Between the 3, they control voting authority over 3/4 of the shares in most of Germany's largest companies and hold at least 30% of the seats on their boards of directors. Thus, untangling Deutsche Bank from Germany's political goals or the structure of German corporations is simply impossible. Likewise, separating Germany from the economy of the EU or Europe from the rest of the world is not possible either. So now you know. I'm Gary Conley, and that's today's Money Minute.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes or you're already out and about, conditions out there are fairly mild. Temps right now are coming in the upper 40s to low 50s with mostly clear skies. Light winds out of the north at 5 to 10, and we do have some patchy light fog off and on. The fog will be gone by about 10 a.m. This afternoon will be between systems as the high pressure that cooked us a couple of days ago has pulled away to the east, but the next approaching storm system hasn't reached us yet. That means mostly sunny skies. Temps much nicer in the mid to upper 70s out there with a few low 80s. 76 here in Towns. Winds will shift to the northwest at 5 to 10 late in the afternoon. Now, we are tracking a major storm system set to move in late Friday night, bringing a good chance at showers off and on all the way through the weekend and into early next week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are rising in early trading after the first gain in 3 days for the S&P 500. Energy producers are rebounding with oil prices as OPEC members meet today. The Dow is up 38 points, or 0.2% at 18,266. The S&P 500 is ahead 3 points, or about 0.1% at 2163. And the Nasdaq is up almost 5 points, just about 0.1% at 5310. NYMEX crude oil is up 1.4% at $45.31 a barrel. Saudi Arabia has signaled it may compromise with regional rival Iran on a future output agreement, even as none is expected at today's meeting in Algiers. Fed Chair Janet Yellen delivers testimony today before the House Financial Services Committee. The topic of discussion will be bank supervision and regulation. 3 other Fed officials are also scheduled to deliver remarks before the markets close today. Gina Cervantes.
Depend on us for breaking news from the local neighborhood to the global one. We are News Radio 1120 KPNW, Eugene, Springfield.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. He did more to build the U.S.-Israeli alliance than anyone. That's what President Obama says about Shimon Peres. He'll be at the funeral Friday. So will former President Bill Clinton. Hillary, we're now told, will not go. Fox's Jessica Gallagher live in Jerusalem.
Dave, thousands of others from around the world are expected to converge on Jerusalem to pay their respects to the Nobel Prize winner who had always hoped for peace here in the Middle East. This man, who didn't want to use his name, wasn't a fan of the former president's governing style.
I can't say that I agreed with all of his policies. In fact, I disagree with a lot of his policies, but he definitely did do a lot of good for the state, and it's almost impossible to deny that.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was a fierce political rival, is praising Peres as a man of peace who always worked for better relations with Israel's neighbors. Dave.
Jessica, hours after police killed a black man in El Cajon, California, a call to protesters to remain calm.
Now is a time to allow the investigation to shed light on this event, and we plan to be open and transparent.
Police Chief Jeff Davis says the man was acting erratically and pulled out an object from his pocket and pointed it at officers in a shooting stance. On Capitol Hill,
I can't tell you whether shootings involving people of any different color are up or down or sideways, and nor can anybody else in this country.
FBI Director James Comey says they're now collecting data to answer whether there's an epidemic of blacks being targeted by police, as some claim. This at a House hearing moments ago where Republicans keep questioning Comey over the probe into Hillary Clinton's emails. Another Republican will not be voting for Donald Trump. Former Virginia Senator John Warner minutes ago says,
I will, when I go into the booth, cast a vote for the Clinton-Kaine ticket.
Later today, Hillary Clinton will rally in New Hampshire with former rival Bernie Sanders. Trump will campaign in Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin. The river is receding in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Some homes are flooded, but a series of temporary barriers and berms held a lot of water back, protecting much of the city. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
I might look like an adult, like a person who could possibly be a parent, but I have no idea how to talk like one. And everyone knows that if you want to be a parent, you have to sound good when you say things like, "Don't make me turn this car around," or "Because I said so," or "Don't make me come back there." I don't even really know what those things mean, but I know that I actually believed my parents when they said them to me. How did they manage to sound so convincing? Here we go. "Don't make me come back there." Ugh, no, that's not tough enough at all. Kids can sense weakness. "Don't make me come back there." Ooh, yeah, that's better. In fact, that kind of sounded like my dad. Weird.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to listen to you practice your dad voice. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit AdoptUsKids.org for more information. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
Stocks have been up a little on Wall Street, where Fox Business Network's Nicole Petalini's is live.
Right now, we're seeing stocks to the upside, Dave, to the tune of about 41 points on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, 18,268, a gain of 0.25%. The Nasdaq gaining 8 points, the S&P 500 up 2. We're seeing energy and materials coming under pressure. Some of the winners on the Dow include Caterpillar, Apple. Durable goods came in relatively flat. We're also getting GDP report tomorrow. Tempur Sealy coming under weaker numbers here as sales slip, and we're seeing the stock down over 20%. On the other hand, we're watching Amazon hitting another record high again. This could mark the 20th close of the year at a record. Right now, Amazon's at $8.20 and change and went as high as $824.76. We saw one price target of $1,000. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Nicole. The price of oil is up about 60 cents, back over $45 a barrel. Gas pretty much unchanged. AAA's national average remains just under $2.21 a gallon. China's trash is becoming a treasure in California.
You've probably seen those huge shipping containers stacked on ocean-going freighters used to ship all kinds of commodities from country to country. In Los Angeles, a nonprofit is cutting out the sides of containers, putting them together, and creating modded apartments for homeless veterans. Steve Harding with American Family Housing says they're happy to take them off China's hands.
With the trade disparity between the United States and China, we have a huge surplus of containers that the Chinese, quite frankly, don't want back. It costs $800 for them to manufacture one in China. It costs more than that for them to ship them back empty.
It takes 3 containers to make one apartment. Apartments large enough for just one person, including a kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, and enough wall space for a big screen TV. Tom Rigotti, Fox News.
Clowns are supposed to be funny and happy, but a group of them in Maryland now decided not to take part in a parade coming up because of a recent rash of creepy clown sightings across several states. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
11:20 KPNW 705, Wednesday hump, September 2-8. Live and local from the Widmer Brothers Studios, streaming live to the world. How do? Sunny and 75 today, clear and 48 tonight. So 73 on Thursday, 68 degrees for the high on Friday. Chris Nation along shortly to talk about what is headed our direction. Currently 51 degrees, 11:20 KPNW. What a sad day. This is like, I liken this to having, a girlfriend, a significant other, departing for Europe, and you'll never see her again, or it'll be a while. This is the last day of incredible coffee. The coffee is coming to an end. The last couple of weeks have been joyous, and it's like how you stay up and you don't want to say goodbye, and so all of a sudden you look and the sun's coming up, and you're like, ugh. Finally, you're just exhausted, and so you embrace, you put her on the plane, and you go home and you cry. That's what I will do today. I will go home and cry.
Yeah, I'm going to have to hunt down Coffee Picori.
Wood roasted coffee I have never had before.
It's so darn good. It is really, really good.
And this is from somebody who had kind of weaned myself. I never thought I would be able to not drink coffee, but I was drinking tea instead. You have a glass of that, you're just, a cup, mug, a vat of that, and you're like, oh my God, it's like bliss in a cup. Of course, will you spell it for me?
Pacaroi, I think.
They make the coffee here in Eugene.
Yeah. It's in the WIT somewhere.
So good.
Well, like I said today, I'm probably going to have to hunt them down and go buy some. Good stuff.
We need to buy stock.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. They grow that company for sure.
Lise Wheel coming up. Fox News legal analyst. Do we have any crazy, wacky cases that are coming up? Seems like there's always one or two that are popping up.
Today we're going to be talking about, a couple of different things probably. A lawyer is suing Emirates Airlines after he had to endure a 9-hour flight seated next to an obese man. And also the U.S. attorney is investigating the Anthony Weiner sexting allegations. Apparently he's
still in the news?
He was sending pictures of his junk to an underage girl.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Just a reminder.
What a classy guy.
We've got a situation where flaggers are out on the scene at West 11th and Bertelsen. That's kind of a central, as you're coming in from 126, that's kind of a central intersection. And apparently we've got traffic coming in to Eugene, backed out, probably past Beltline at this point, and it's only going to get worse. So if there's an alternate route, might save you a couple of minutes. I don't think it's crazy extensive, but you get closer to 8 o'clock, and I think it's not going to be exactly enjoyable. Looks like 126 still talking about, so we'll just give you the info. At milepost 20 near Leeburg, a crash that was a couple of hours ago, and hopefully in the clearing stages, and they just have forgotten to take that off the ODOT trip check map. News coming up. News time, 7:09, 1120 KPNW.
True taco facts from Burrito Amigos. Last year, we as Americans chowed down on 4.5 billion tacos. If you laid those tacos end to end, a favorite American pastime, by the way, they'd stretch 490,000 miles, essentially to the moon and back, which is a favorite American measurement of distance. If you took all the tacos folks ate at Burrito Amigos last year, they'd get you round trip from Eugene to Vancouver, unless the traffic was bad and you had to go 205. Then you would only get back to the Brownsville exit. A lot of those tacos were Burrito Amigos Baja fish tacos with real cod, cabbage, cilantro, and Sandy's Secret Baja sauce. A few miles were also Chili Verde soft tacos with pork cooked in spicy green salsa. And you could probably get to Salem with all the yummy tacos Burrito Amigos fans noshed on. Yams, cabbage, beans, pumpkin seeds, and a spicy avocado sauce. They're delicious whether you're a vegetarian or not. Burrito Amigos tacos, they're not just for measuring anymore. Burrito Amigos in Eugene and Springfield. I'm Bill London, and I like my tacos by the yard.
Built for business. In business, time is money. In business, money is also money. No wonder nearly 1,000 businesses choose Comcast Business Internet over DSL from the phone company every single day. Not only is it up to 5 times faster, it's actually a better value when you go with the fastest plan. So take a minute out of your busy schedule and call Comcast Business. It will be well worth your time and your money.
Switch to Comcast Business Internet. Then add voice and TV for just $34.90 a month. And ask about our 2-year price guarantee. Call 800-501-6000 or visit ComcastBusiness.com. Comcast Business. Built for business.
Offer ends 10/31/16. Restrictions apply. Limited to one voice line and private view TV for new customers. 2-year contract required. Requires Comcast Business Internet at an additional monthly charge. Equipment, taxes, and fees, including broadcast TV feed extra. Savings claim based on cost per megabits per second. Compares Comcast 100 megabits per second and 20 megabits per second DSL downloads.
Now, this morning's wake-up call with the latest news from the Northwest and your neighborhood. On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Good morning. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos. We call them the friendly ones. They're, of course, featuring great breakfast burritos this morning and fresh brewed locally roasted coffee. And if you go through the drive-thrus in Springfield or out there on 6th in Eugene, you can also get your favorite espresso drinks as well. Here's what's going on. Douglas County officials are going to be remembering the victims of the October 1st massacre at Umpqua Community College.
The elected officials here in Douglas County, along with other Douglas County officials, are planning to hold a brief ceremony on Friday afternoon. That's this Friday at 3 p.m. on the courthouse steps. Essentially, they're going to observe a moment of silence in remembrance of the victims of the horrible tragedy that we experienced here a year ago.
Wes Hudson of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office says that local pastor Randy Scroggins will deliver a short invocation followed by the moment of silence. Douglas County elected officials will stand in solidarity to remember the individuals who were killed and wounded during that tragedy. Lane County Commissioners voted unanimously to provide some financial relief for the families of fallen police officers and firefighters. Commissioners passed an ordinance yesterday morning that provides a property tax exemption for spouses of fire service personnel, also police officers and reserve officers who die in the line of duty. Oregon lawmakers passed a bill earlier this year in Salem allowing counties to provide the exemption for surviving spouses. County officials said a spouse would be exempt of all property taxes up to the assessed value of $250,000. Anytime, Lane County is moving closer to banning smoking and vaping on county-owned outdoor recreation areas. A proposed draft ordinance would ban the legal practices, that's right, legal practices, at county campgrounds, parks, and marinas. Of course, marijuana isn't mentioned. Commissioner Jay Bozovich was the only commissioner who opposed that proposal. Oregon students are doing better than the national average on SATs, but it doesn't mean they're doing that well. Brad Ford reports the scores actually slid backwards in a number of areas.
On the reading part of the college entrance test, scores remained at 520, math was 515, and writing was 495, both down 3 points from the year before. Oregon scores are between 12 and 31 points higher than the national average. Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction, Salam Noor, says there's room for improvement. They want to see a higher number of students from historically underserved populations taking the test. 12% of students are Hispanic, while they comprise 22% of the public school population. The SAT was redesigned last year to align with Common Core state standards and to be more relevant for college admissions. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
Well, if you're like me, you received a letter from a company called Active Outdoors. The letter says that if you bought a fishing or hunting license before 2007 in Oregon, Washington, or Idaho, that information that you gave to get that license had been hacked. At first, the letter looks like it might be a fake since there's no state seal on the letter. Well, it's not a fraud. It's real. The company is contracted by the state to issue hunting and fishing licenses, and last month they were hacked. For real. The hackers took the information of over 1 million people in Oregon and 2.5 million people in Washington. Active Outdoors is giving anyone affected 2 years' worth of identity repair. If you find anyone, that is, that's used your information to create fake identities or other fraud, experts believe your name, birth date, address at the time, and your physical description were all stolen. Nice job, Oregon. More proof that when it comes to computers and securing personal information, you continue to earn an F. The Portland chapter of the Satanic Temple has succeeded in its efforts to bring an after-school program to a Portland elementary school. The organization has been approved to begin the program on October 19th at Sacramento Elementary School. Fizz Wren, one of the group's leaders, says that the program focuses on science and rational thinking and says it will promote benevolence and empathy for everybody. Okay. Satanic Temple has been targeting schools that have the Good News Club. That club is put on by the Child Evangelism Fellowship. It's a Bible-centered organization composed of born-again believers who propose or whose purpose is to evangelize boys and girls with the gospel and establish them in local churches for Christian living. The prosecution has wrapped its case in the trial of the 7 occupiers of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, and Brad Ford reports the prosecution presented a lot of evidence on Tuesday.
Witnesses for the prosecution laid the groundwork for the evidence, saying there were many guns and a lot of ammunition. FBI agents brought 22 long guns and 12 handguns before the jury. They also brought thousands of shell casings and live ammunition. Their goal is to prove federal employees were intimidated against doing their jobs. Defense attorneys argue that no one was threatened. The defense will now begin presenting its case. 4 of the defendants have attorneys and 3 are representing themselves. They're expected to argue their demonstration was within the bounds of the U.S. Constitution. The defendants are charged with conspiring to keep federal workers from doing their jobs. Brad Ford, KPNW.
On that note, an Oregon sheriff repeatedly invoked his right against self-incrimination while being questioned under oath about his email practices. That would be Grant County Sheriff Glenn Palmer. He was questioned twice last week by an attorney representing the Oregonian, which sued the sheriff in an effort to obtain records. Palmer answered questions during the deposition about his knowledge of state law governing public records, his handling of requests for records, and his cell phone use. Questions about his personal email account prompted the Fifth Amendment claims. Palmer attracted attention earlier this year when he met with the occupiers of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. He says he considers himself a constitutional sheriff and vows to protect citizens from abuse of government. A central issue in the dispute is Palmer's use of a personal email account to conduct public business. The Oregonian sought work-related emails dating back to November of 2015. Palmer said in court filings his practice is to print out important emails from the personal account, file them, and delete them from his system. Though the lawsuit filed against the sheriff is a civil case, the Oregon Department of Justice opened a criminal investigation of the sheriff over an allegation he tampered with government records 4 years ago, and that investigation remains active. Palmer, by the way, is running for re-election. A former Philomath football player, most recently assistant Warrior football coach, was arraigned in Clatsop County Circuit Court yesterday. 22-year-old Cooper Kakuta, who was a volunteer assistant coach, was arraigned on a charge of second-degree criminal mistreatment. It's a Class A misdemeanor and carries a maximum sentence of up to a year in prison. Kakuta is accused of playing a role in what prosecutors are calling aggravated hazing while the Philomath football team was at Camp Rylea last July. Officials say Kakuta was left in charge of the team and was criminally negligent by withholding necessary and adequate physical care. A not guilty plea was entered on his behalf. The next court appearance is scheduled for December 8th. He was released after being booked into the Clatsop County Jail. The chief operating officer at Portland Public Schools has resigned after months on paid leave over a lead scandal that forced out the district superintendent. The district found high lead levels at 2 schools in March, and they didn't release the results until May. That allowed students and staff to continue drinking lead-tainted water. Good job. Chief Operating Officer Tony Magliano was the highest-ranking official to see the test results. He and Senior Health and Safety Manager Andy Fridley were placed on leave June 2nd by then Superintendent Carol Smith, who criticized them for not delivering on handling lead hazards, among other issues. Fridley resigned and said he acted promptly and appropriately based on the information, the resources, and direction he received. District-wide testing over the summer showed a lead problem at every single school. The longest-serving director of the Oregon Department of Agriculture is leaving at the end of this week, and Brad Ford reports Katie Koba says it's the best job in state government, which begs the question, then why is she leaving?
Katie Koba says she's proud of what she's accomplished over the last 13 years and how agriculture has advanced in the state.
Being able to wave that flag and be the proud director of the Department of Agriculture representing Oregon agriculture is by far all-encompasses my proudest moments.
Koba says she's most proud of helping to open Oregon agriculture products to new markets and making Oregonians aware of what agriculture means to the state. She says it's been one of the highlights of her life.
Very, very special, and it's been an incredible opportunity and certainly the highlight of my career.
Next week, Koba becomes Oregon's Chief Operating Officer and Director of the Department of Administrative Services. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk just laid out his expansive vision for how he plans to colonize Mars. Musk revealed plans for the interplanetary transport system at the International Astronautical Congress in Guadalajara, Mexico. In his address, Musk said that the goal of SpaceX's planned missions to Mars is to turn humans into multi-planetary species. Musk has said in the past that making humanity multi-planetary is his primary reason for starting SpaceX. Spaceship X hopes to build a colony on Mars and would need to fit about 100 people and enough cargo to build self-sustaining colonies on the planet with iron foundries, pizza joints, you name it. That's a quote from him. Mars Pizza. It's out of this world. By the way, Mars is believed to be the Earth's best hope for colonization within the solar system because Mars' gravity, resources, and daily orbit are somewhat similar to our own. Mincing no words, Musk said the risk of fatality would be very high for the first mission. So one of the criteria for becoming a member of the crew is, quote, "Are you prepared to die?" Way to sell it, Elon. The problem with traveling to Mars is the cost, which is extremely expensive, but Musk believes that the cost can be lowered to about $200,000 a person. He says people will be more likely at that price to buy the ticket. There you go. 7:22. This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, right here on KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
It was almost as if the New York Mets gave the Miami Marlins a gift in their tribute game to the fallen teammate. As they got back to winning, last night it was 12-1 for the Mets with Jay Bruce and Yoenis Cespedes both kicking home runs out. Mets, Giants, and Cardinals all separated by one game for the National League wild card. AL Boston Red Sox can't seal the deal with an American League East title. It would be their first in 3 years, but it's a night for the Yankees instead, so the champagne will have to sit on ice. Yanks win 6-4. A bag of Jose Fernandez autographed baseballs and his checkbook drifted up on Miami Beach, about 1 mile from where his boat was found upside down on a jetty. To soccer, the Portland Timbers won their first road win of the season as they win on a free kick in stoppage 1-0. Local preps. South Eugene volleyball team swept crosstown rival Sheldon as the Axewomen beat the Irish at home for the first time in 23 years. Swept them. Their 8th straight win. Girls soccer, Marist doubles up on Springfield 4-2. Ellie Feitschak with 2 Spartan goals. Churchill scores quick and dumps Thurston 2-1. Boys soccer, Willamette plays South Medford to a 1-1 draw. Churchill wins their second game of the season, 1-0 over Marist. And Cresswell, 5 straight. This one 5-3 over Lapine. Wake Up Call Sports on KPNW, brought to you by Max Muscle. Where's your finish line? Set a goal, make a plan, get results. Max Muscle in Eugene on Franklin, across from Market of Choice. News time, 7:23.
KPNW weather, brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. We've got mild conditions out there right now with temps in the upper 40s to low 50s. Light winds out of the north at 5 to 10 with mostly clear skies. And I am tracking some patchy light fog off and on out there, but that'll be gone by about 10 a.m. Now, we are between storm systems at this point. The high pressure that cooked us a couple of days ago has pulled way off to the east. And the approaching storm system, well, it won't be reaching us until Friday afternoon in the evening. So in the next couple of days, fairly mild pattern. Mostly clear skies in the afternoon with highs only in the mid-70s to a couple of low 80s out there. We'll get to about 76 here in town. Late in the afternoon, winds will pick up out of the northwest at 5 to 10 with a few gusts up to 15, but shouldn't be as breezy as it was yesterday. Now, we are tracking a major storm system headed this way. Latest data suggests it will start to pull towards us, and sometime Friday afternoon into the evening, it'll come onshore, bringing showers, maybe even a few isolated thunderstorms out to the coast. Then it sits over the Pacific Northwest right through the weekend, rotating energy. What does that mean? Simply put, showers off and on throughout the weekend, and temps, they're going to be back into the mid to upper 50s for highs. Prepare for fall. It's going to be a fairly wet and cool weekend, but between now and then, decent weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
When you need foundation repairs, turn to the foundation experts at Ramjack West. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Serving Oregon and Washington. Choose Ramjack. CCB 146906.
Hi, everybody. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute, sponsored by Eugene's #1 electrical contractor, Builders Electric. A few years ago, I had the privilege of attending one of the late and great Victor Borge's concerts. And that evening, he told the audience, laughter is the shortest distance between two people. Have you noticed lately how close you are to those people that you laugh with the most? They make us feel great. They help our outlook on life. They keep those positive endorphins flowing. But mostly, they're just fun to be with. So take some time today and think about those who help you laugh every day. You're probably really close to them. This is Don Essig with today's Motivational Minute. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a positive day.
This Motivational Minute was brought to you by Builders Electric, providing honest, reliable, and positive contracting throughout the Willamette Valley since 1960. That's Builders Electric, CCB number 4296.
You've heard me talk about glutamine and how important it is for your body. It repairs every cell in the human body, giving you overall optimal health. It's odorless, tasteless, and flavorless. Stop by, give it a try. You won't taste a thing. Max Muscle, Franklin Boulevard in Eugene.
Cold weather is coming. Are you prepared? Ductless heat pumps can save you up to 50% on your heating costs. This is Rick Gregg from the Heat Pump Store in Eugene. Let me and my local team of ductless heating experts save you money, keep you comfortable, and get you the most utility rebates and tax credits available. Call 541-632-3357. That's 632-3357. Or visit theheatpumpstore.com.
They got me pump, 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 the Heat Pump Store.
CCB 177-229.
Even with the greatest real estate we've seen in a decade, do you realize that 20% of homes go pending and then fall out, which ends up netting you, the seller, less money? The reason? You hired the wrong real estate agent. If you want a great price and have a great experience, hire Harpole Homes with Keller Williams Realty.
Fact, not all agents are created equal. When you sell your house with Eric and Jeanette's team, you get thousands more dollars in your pocket. With the extra money the Harpoles net you, you can take a vacation, pay off debt, or put more down on your next home.
How did the Harpole Homes do it? negotiating, marketing, and their exclusive certified pre-owned home program. When you hire Harpole Homes to sell your house, they pay for your home inspection up front to take care of the issues to ensure your home stays sold. It's one of 182 steps they follow to get your house sold for top dollar.
For your free information package or to schedule a free consultation, call them 541-286-3030 or check them out at harpolehomes.com. Sell your house this summer with Harpole Homes with Keller Williams Realty. 541-286-3030.
Local news, local people, Holloway in London, and the Wake Up Call. I want you to get up now. On News Radio 1120, KPNW.
Okay, in a second, Lise Wheel is going to be up here. We don't have much time with her today because she's got apparently a television gig coming up here in just a matter of moments. So, for the most part, we're going to be discussing the U.S. Attorney investigating the Wiener sexting allegations, which in and of itself just sounds funny. Prosecutors in the Office of the U.S. Attorney have issued a subpoena for Anthony Weiner's cell phone and other records, according to law enforcement officials. The FBI and the New York Police Department have opened preliminary investigations of allegations that the former congressman exchanged 6 sexually explicit text messages with a purportedly underage girl. Apparently, the allegations first surfaced in the Daily Mail, and so once again, Weiner, and you can take that any way you want to, ends up back in the news because of his proclivities. How is it that New Yorkers continue to, for me, I can't figure out how it is that New Yorkers continue to vote for a guy like this? How is this guy even still someone that anyone respects? I mean, what a sleaze. What just a greasy sleazeball. And we're still waiting for Lise at this point. It also makes you wonder because the latest stats that I've seen is about 30% of text messages end up going to the wrong person. And it makes me wonder, you know, in his list of contacts, who might have accidentally been texted various photos of his body parts. I mean, you think that Debbie Wasserman Schultz ever ended up with any of those? She just, I got a text from it. Oh. You might want to have a doctor look at that. Just saying, Anthony.
Why do guys think that's something that women want to see? Because I could see even women being, attracted and liking somebody and going, yeah, I'm okay with and
Did you really need to send me a picture of that?
But guys are like, phew.
Send more.
I know they want to see it.
I'm beginning to wonder if we're even going to get to her this morning.
I just got word that so far a failed attempt. So we could give away some, golden tickets.
All right. So a couple of things we have. We have, of course, the bull riding tickets, and these are the $300 a piece tickets, where essentially it's like an all-access pass. Is she on the phone now? Hi, Lise. We're going to make it quick. I know you got to be on TV. We've already kind of laid out the deal with Anthony Weiner. It's just funny to say that. So I guess the question here is, if he is found guilty of having texted photos of his private parts to an underage girl, what is that considered? What is the charge for that?
Oh, it is a federal charge, and it is a mean federal charge, sexual exploitation of a minor. I used to prosecute these cases when I was there in Seattle as a federal prosecutor. And let me tell you how serious the feds take it. I'm sorry, I'm in hair and makeup here at Fox, so that's what you're hearing there in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But getting ready for the TV hit. But let me tell you how serious that the feds take it. It is a mandatory minimum of 15 years in federal prison. That's hard time. And a maximum of 30 years in prison. Get that, right? It is one of the most serious things that the feds take. I mean, other than, murder. It's akin to child pornography. I mean, and the child cannot consent to this kind of thing. It's like statutory rape. You cannot consent to statutory rape. So, Weider's got to be looking very seriously at this. Now, he's not in jail or prison right now because he's not a flight risk. I mean, everybody knows who he is. He's not going to be able to get out of JFK or LaGuardia, and he's not carrying around a gun, so he's not going to, probably kill anybody. But he's looking at serious federal time.
Okay, I'm curious. How old is the underage girl?
15.
15?
15.
And
she might be 16 now, but she was 15 at the time.
How
yeah,
did
15.
he even come across this young lady?
I don't know. Maybe internet trolling. That I don't know. That's not.
What a sleaze. Why is it that New Yorkers continue to enable people like that politically? And we'll never know the answer.
Can you say that again?
I said, why is it? I don't understand why it is that New York and Atlantic seaboarders continue to just kind of enable people like that. You would have thought that he would have learned his lesson a while ago.
I don't know. Isn't that crazy though? That's you got to ask a psychologist something like that. I don't know, but it doesn't make any sense to me either. And you forgot to mention the part too about his using his child as a prop, the baby that he had there, using his child as a prop. Say, oh, this is literally a chick magnet. That's like almost child abuse to me.
What a sleaze! What an utter sleaze! Okay.
Well, you're being kind. You're being kind. That's a nice word.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that. Okay, so I realize you've got to go, but what show are you going to be on?
Oh, I'm going to be on Happening Now, which is it's at our 11 o'clock at our time, so 8 o'clock your time. I'll be on with Jenna and Scott, and I'll be talking about Trump and stop and frisk and what he said at the Monday night debate.
All right. Hey, Lise, have a good appearance on the show. It's always a pleasure to have you on ours, and take care. Have a good weekend.
You too. And don't forget The Candidate, my new novel, my new political thriller, comes out next Tuesday. You can pre-order it now. Get the plug in. All right. Yes, it is. Well, good for you. All right, you guys. Have a great day. You too, Lise. Take care. Bye. Bye-bye. Lise Wheel on the wake-up call this morning.
Oh, I wish I knew how many shows does she talk to on a weekly basis? Does she have any, aside from the fact that we're West Coast and kind of close to Yakima, does she have any idea who, do we get set apart at all? Well, yeah, mainly from the text messages I send her. Just, they kill me. I'm kidding. Wow. I'm totally kidding. Wait for it. Wait for it. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. I wonder what kind of stains Anthony Weiner has to clean off of his carpet. Just a thought. It's a sleep train. Huh? It's a sleep train commercial. You drunk? It's the coffee. Blame it on the coffee. Thank you. This is going to be an interesting day. So, sleep train. I'm sitting here now trying to think of some sort of connection that I can make with Anthony Weiner and sleep train. And while there are several that come to mind, none of them that I really want to mention. So, you know what? I'm just going to plug at this point the adjustable base. It doesn't make any difference whether it's a Beauty Rest or a Tempur-Pedic or any of the other great mattresses. If for no other reason, at least go in. If you have back problems, if you have neck problems, if you have, those kind of issues, go in and just try out an adjustable base.
they can make all the difference in the world. Friday night, my back was killing me, and it's like, okay, I can't sleep. A little bit raising the head, a little bit under the knees, and I was out and woke up the next morning feeling a lot better. Try the things out. It's not going to cure, but it definitely will help you get a better night's sleep. That's my pitch for Sleep Train, the adjustable bases. And if you get one, they're going to beat anybody's price by 5% up to 100 days after you purchase your mattress.
I'll go variety because pretty much you're not limited like you are in some shops. You go there and you're going to be able to really come out with the mattress of your dreams. And the people that will be helping you out, low pro, low pressure, but very high in the knowledgeable content. Good stuff. You'll find it today if you hit one in Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem. And please tell them you're like this with the Wake Up Call.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks are moving slightly higher this morning as energy producers are rebounding along with oil prices. OPEC members are meeting today in Algeria. Wells Fargo's CEO John Stumpf will forego more than $41 million of salary as the bank's board investigates how employees opened legions of bogus accounts for customers. But it may not be enough to spare him another lashing when he returns to Capitol Hill tomorrow. Cisco Systems plans to spend as much as $4 billion in Mexico through 2018 to expand production. They are creating jobs in that country, even as the American company cuts its global workforce by 7%. BlackBerry will stop making smartphones, handing over production to overseas partners while it turns its full attention to its more profitable and growing software business. It is very hard to find affordable, high-quality childcare in the U.S. Daycare centers cost more than average in-state college tuition. An in-home caregiver costs 53% of median household income. That's according to research organization New America. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Every election year, you hear lots of promises and few guarantees. Lars Larson here to tell you about one guarantee you have right here in Eugene and Lane County. Jeremy Parmenter will sell your home. That's right. Jeremy guarantees to sell your home at a price and a deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it. And Jeremy will sell your home fast. Darbin and Ruby wanted to sell their home and move out of the country. They didn't need the extra stress that comes with selling their home, so they called Jeremy Parmenter. He sold their home in less than 30 days, right on schedule, and got them $10,000 more than any house in that neighborhood. Why would you think of working with any other agent in Eugene or Lane County? And there's no risk. If you want out of the contract, you're out. Call the only agent I recommend in Eugene. Call Jeremy Parmenter at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. Online, OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com. That's OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com.
Here's Denture Masters and Implant Center patient Steve.
After years of lots of dental bills and crowns and extractions, and I finally just made the decision to go to Denture Masters. Called Vicki right away. It's the best move I ever made. I've just been very, very happy with the way I was treated there. I wish that I'd done it sooner. For the cost of the implants, it was well worth the investment. I mean, it's just like having your own teeth.
Call today and learn how you can maximize 2 years of insurance benefits.
That's the Denture Masters difference.
Ramjack has your foundation solution. Ramjack can fix that. CCB 146906.
Every election year, you hear lots of promises and few guarantees. Lars Larson here to tell you about one guarantee you have right here in Eugene and Lane County. Jeremy Parmenter will sell your home. That's right. Jeremy guarantees to sell your home at a price and a deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it. And Jeremy will sell your home fast. Darbin and Ruby wanted to sell their home and move out of the country. They didn't need the extra stress that comes with selling their home, so they called Jeremy Parmenter. He sold their home in less than 30 days, right on schedule, and got them $10,000 more than any house in that neighborhood. Why would you think of working with any other agent in Eugene or Lane County? And there's no risk. If you want out of the contract, you're out. Call the only agent I recommend in Eugene. Call Jeremy Parmenter at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. Online, OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com. That's OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com.
What happens next happens here on the Wake Up Call on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Wake Up Call 742. He is a prize-winning investigative journalist, former editor of Money, George, and Reader's Digest International. Maybe you've heard of him. He's a health correspondent for Parade. His book is called Your Best Healthcare Now, published by Touchstone. He is Frank Lally, and he joins us on the Wake Up Call. Frank, great to have you on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
Been looking forward to this, I must admit, for about a week and a half, because not only is your story, but some of the things that you espouse, I think, could mean a lot to people in this day and age with healthcare the way it is. Your life and career took we'll say, a definitive turn when your health took a turn. Talk about what happened, I believe, in 2013.
Yeah, well, this book is a product of a really bad break. I have mostly good breaks in my life. I do not have any complaints, and I've never shed a tear. But I was diagnosed with a blood cancer called multiple myeloma. Now, it's treatable. That was 8 years ago, but it is not yet curable. So at one point, just a couple of years ago, I was taking a $570 a day. Now, that's retail price. That's a drug. I was taking $570 a day drug to stay alive. And my old employer, Time Inc., eliminated all caps on drug costs, even for cancer patients like me with these crazy price drugs. But here's the fiasco. The company couldn't tell me, and no one could tell me, what that drug was going to cost me next year, okay? So I made 70 phone calls to 16 different organizations. I spent weeks on this. I couldn't get a straight answer. And at that point, my wife said, you got to write about this. So I wrote about it for the New York Times. The story went viral. But here's the point. People sent me letters. I got stacks of them. And in some cases, they had situations even worse than mine. I mean, I finally got a grant to cover that drug. It cost me $0, okay? But people don't know where to go to get things like that, and they end up paying out of pocket, or they don't take the medicine. So at that point, I decided, okay, I've got to write a book about this. And I have. It's called Your Best Healthcare Now. And I wrote it to make ordinary people have the skills to do what I've done. Everything I've done, you can do. All you need is a phone and a notepad, and you can get dollar discounts. You can save money on your health insurance, and you certainly can find affordable prescriptions. I've got a chapter with 17 ways to do that.
Couple of things. First off, how is your health today?
My health today is very good, but it's interesting. I'm on my way to have some radiation. But everything is under control. I've got a plan. It's all been, all my prices have been negotiated. I'm not in a situation where I'm on a gurney trying to negotiate a price with a hospital. I've done all of that up front, and that's what you should do before you go. If you know you need a surgery, you need a procedure in a hospital, you're going to give birth in a hospital. The thing to do is to go to the hospital ahead of time and agree on a price, agree on the services, and agree on a price. Don't do it through the billing department. They're there to collect more money from you. Instead, go to the ombudsman or as close as they have to that, and every hospital does. And make sure if there's a major teaching hospital in your area, go to that as at least one of them. Sit down with your finances, agree on a price. If it's not the right price for you, go to another hospital around the corner. They're all competing with each other. That's the way to approach it. You don't do it after you've been hospitalized. You get hit with a $270,000 bill, and you can't even understand the damn thing because it's got all kinds of codes in it. 50% hospital bills have significant errors, but it's tough for an ordinary person to spot it. Do it all up front.
Frank, I'm just kind of curious. You mentioned negotiate in advance. If a person, for instance, has insurance and they have what's referred to as, where you have to pay co-insurance, which is a co-pay on it, can you negotiate, even if you are insured and that pays, can you negotiate the co-insurance portion of it that would be yours as well? Or is that harder?
But what you can do is if the price is going to be too high, that co-insurance is look. Instead of co-insurance means you're paying part of the price. Okay,
right.
When you've got a co-pay, it's fixed. When it's co-insurance, you're paying a percentage.
Right.
So in some cases, you can sit down with the provider and pay cash up front.
Okay, but
that can be lower than the co-insurance.
Okay, so that was my question. I mean, that's what I was asking. Being able to negotiate that, is that and you mentioned, other hospitals are competing with each other. I happen to live in a town where the situation is that in 3 cities around it, all the hospitals, all the doctors are part of this one, Samaritan Health Services. How do you go about dealing with a situation where you're in an area where essentially, they have a monopoly on all the health care for, 50 miles around?
That's a problem. And that's a problem. And by the way, you put your finger on an increasing problem in this country because there's tremendous consolidation going on with, you know how many hospitals there are in this country? There are only 540. There are very few hospitals. And in some cases, obviously in your situation, there's only one.
Right.
But look, even one hospital will negotiate with you because what happens is you walk. Let's assume that $275,000 bill you didn't negotiate up front, and if it goes to a collection agency, the hospital is going to give up half the price, right?
Right.
So they don't want to be in a situation with you where it's going to end up being contentious. So you go in and look, you might say, I don't want to say in your specific situation, but somebody can go in and say, okay, look, here's the price of that. I can't afford it right now. Let's do it, I'll pay it over time, okay? Or give me a 20 or 30% discount and I'll pay it over time. And the hospital, to avoid the hassle, should be able to deal with you, even if you can't turn around and go to another hospital across the corner and truly negotiate. But you know what this extends to? When you're sitting with your doctor in your doctor's office, and he says, you know what, I think you need some lab tests. It'll cost, it might cost you, I look at your blood, it might cost about $2,000. Or there's a procedure I really want to do, and it might cost, $1,500. You can say to him, look, I don't have that kind of money at this point. I mean, can you give me a discount? I mean, you have to be sincere about it. You really don't have the money. But you can say to the doctor, look, you take Medicare patients. Could you just charge me what you charge the Medicare patients? That's one approach. Most doctors have discount policies. They're compassionate people. They don't want money to get between them and their patients. So they'll work with you. But you have to bring up the subject. You need to be sincere. But if you do that, you can get tremendous discounts. My second surgery, the back surgeon wanted $40,000 at the beginning. Now that was going to be out of my pocket, no health insurance. He did it for $10,000. I just said, that's all we could afford is $10,000. And you know what he said? He said, okay. Okay, and then he did the surgery, and he did a brilliant job.
Talking to Frank Lally, and he joins us on the Wake Up Call. The book is called Your Best Healthcare Now. I actually had an insurance gentleman a couple of weeks ago tell me that you can negotiate pretty much everything. He said that he had a situation where there was a $3,000 bill whittled down to $1,000, but like you said and you clarified, you got to do it in the beginning.
Yes.
What resources or what can you, here you might have a little bit more because of your investigative work, but for the average person, what kind of terminology, what kind of positioning, what kind of posturing should they kind of incorporate in their negotiation?
Well, I think primarily sincerity. I think you've got to be able to look the doctor, the provider in the eye and tell him honestly, I just can't afford that. There's, in negotiation, you can also, with providers, it's the mammograms or knee replacements or that kind of thing, they're standardized to an extent. You can go to clearhealthcost.com or Compass or Castlight, and you can get an idea of what these standard procedures cost in your area. And then you can go into your doctor. You're armed with what, or provider. You're armed with the cost, the actual cost of what what the average person is, what the average patient is actually being charged. If he's charging more, you can say, match it. If he's charging the same, you can say, can't you beat that? But, I mean, both strategies can work. But I think you sincerely have to look them in the eye and say, geez, I really can't afford that. And they'll respond.
You talk about a grant that you secured in your situation where you were paying over $500 for medication and got it whittled down. How do people even? Where do you start when it comes to medication and drugs?
Well, where I would start is in the doctor's office, and you say to your doctor, do I need that medicine at that dosage? Do I actually need that? He has to explain it to you, okay? Then you have to say to him, look, if you believe him, you say, okay, exactly what is that drug going to do for me and in how many days? And he says, well, that'll help you within 7 days. You should be fine, okay? Then you say to him, write the prescription for 10 days. Don't write the prescription for 30 days. You save money right there. You should see my medicine chest before I figured this out. There were drugs I only needed for 4 days. I have 90 of them. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's a waste of money and a waste of medicine. So you just buy the medicine that you actually need. But look, even before you leave the office with the prescription, say to the doctor, do you have any samples? Okay? Yeah. Now, the drug makers drop off samples all the time, especially for expensive brand name drugs, and the doctors just stick them in their drawers or in their I walked out of one doctor's office with more than $1,000 worth of a non-addictive painkiller, and all I said was, do you have any samples? And then his nurse comes in with arms full of this stuff. I mean, I could barely carry it home. This was a pill that cost $25 each, okay? So do you have any samples? Do you have any discount cards? I had another drug I used for a while. It was $10 a month. Now, look, on a discount, and you can get discount cards if you go to the manufacturer of the drug on their online. They've got all kinds of ways. Now, the discount cards are a little tricky in the sense that you get a real break on the drug. Maybe you're only $10 a month for a $500 or $250 drug, so you get it for $10 a month. But you only get it for about a year. They want to hook you on it. And then you actually end up getting a prescription for it and spending an awful lot of money with them. So you got to keep that in mind. All these companies they're in. But I've used drugs, and I've used drugs at $10 a month to just figure out if it would help me. And in some cases it didn't. So I only invested $30 or $40 into it, and then I pushed it aside and went on to something else that was more effective.
Frank, I knew this was going to happen. It went way too quick. We're going to have you back. But I guess, last question, because prior to 2008, to your own health issue, to 2016, when you've done research and talked now to over 300 people and had countless interviews and done articles, but I mean, your takeaway about healthcare and just the profits that are made and what it's doing to this country, because there's people out there that have a health issue that all of a sudden don't have a house, and it just it erupts, and their whole life is turned upside down.
That's true, and I've talked to some of those people who really fear that they're going to have to sell their house to settle their bills. Look, here's my bottom line on this: we're one of the few countries in the world that have a system like this. In virtually every other case, the government recognizes that health care is a right that every citizen should have. It is not a privilege. We're in a country, at best, that's making health care available for 9 out of 10 people, and they're leaving sick, old, and defenseless children without health care. That doesn't make me proud of this society. And at the end of the day, I can talk about Affordable Care Act for as long as you want, but at the end of the day, I think we'll have a system of Medicare for all, and as more people go into Medicare, the price will actually go down because healthier people will be signing up, It's the opposite of what you hear lawmakers say. I think we'll end up with Medicare for all, and that would be the humane thing to do in this society.
Do you have a website, Frank?
Yes, healthcaredetective.us.
All right, and the book is called Your Best Healthcare Now. Frank Lally, thank you so much for the time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Appreciate that. It's coming up on 8 o'clock, News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Here are some key facts about Measure 97.
97 would impose a new state tax on sales of goods and services sold in Oregon.
It's a tax on sales, not profits, and it would be the biggest tax increase in Oregon history, $6 billion.
Oregon's official state study of 97 found that most of those costs would be passed on to consumers and small businesses through higher prices.
Higher prices for everything, including food, clothing, gas, electricity, insurance, medicine, and even health care.
That would especially hurt Oregon families, small businesses, and farmers who can least afford higher costs.
And there's no guarantee of how the billions in taxes from 97 would actually be spent. Under state law, the legislature could spend the money any way it chooses.
This costly measure is strongly opposed by a statewide coalition that includes tens of thousands of consumers, farmers, and small businesses who urge you to join us and vote no on 97.
For more information, please go to noon97.com.
Paid for by Defeat the Tax on Oregon Sales.
Holloway in London and the Wake Up Call.
News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Bill and Tim's is barbecue and a whole lot more.
Bill, barbecue is the very air we breathe.
I know, Tim, but it isn't for everyone all the time. That's why Bill and Tim's expanded menu is a big hit.
True, we don't look like a men's club in here anymore.
Golden mac and cheese balls, Mexican specialty dishes, gourmet salads. What new dish will you be trying today, Tim?
I'm ready to branch out.
Great.
Give me the barbecue bacon cheeseburger.
Tim. Bill and Tim's Barbecue.
Open at 11 daily.
13th and Pearl in Eugene.
Do you have 30 minutes a week to make a difference in the life of a Eugene student? Join the Eugene Middle School Lunchtime Mentor Program. Be a friend. Support a middle schooler this year. Visit 4j.lane.edu/volunteers for more information.
Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW Eugene Springfield.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. He's only issued 12 vetoes, and none have been overridden by Congress. But President Obama's fortunes may be about to change. Fox's Jared Halpern live at the Capitol.
Both the House and the Senate approved legislation without any objection, allowing families of 9/11 victims to sue Saudi Arabia and any other country accused of helping assist terror attacks on U.S. soil. President Obama made good on a promise to veto that legislation.
How can anyone look at the families in the eye and tell them that they shouldn't have the opportunity to seek justice against a foreign government responsible for the death of their loved one?
Texas Republican John Cornyn believes the Senate has the supermajority needed to override the president's veto. Many Democratic leaders say they are not backing the president. If the Senate successfully overrides today, the House could do the same tomorrow. Dave.
Jared praise from Senate leaders Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell for Shimon Peres.
He was the most visionary and inspirational leader I've ever known.
The embodiment of a nation that the United States is privileged to call an ally.
The former Israeli Prime Minister and Nobel Peace Prize winner who died at age 93. President Obama will join other world leaders at a funeral Friday. At the House, the FBI director is rejecting Republican claims. He recommended no charges against Hillary Clinton for her email scandal, giving her special treatment that others would not have gotten.
If we were to recommend she be prosecuted, that would be a double standard, because Mary and Joe at the FBI or some other place, if they did this, would not be prosecuted. They'd be disciplined.
Democrats want to focus on other issues, asking James Comey if there's an increase in the numbers of black people targeted by police.
We're driven entirely by anecdote, and that's a very bad place to be. I don't know whether there's an epidemic of violence. My instincts tell me there isn't.
So he says they are collecting data, hope to have it complete in a year, as police in El Cajon, California call for calm after yesterday's shooting. An officer killed a black man. Instead of be acting erratically, he pulled an object from his pocket, pointed it at cops in a shooting stance. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
This tip of the week brought to you by Neurospine Institute.
Get up and get moving. Back pain is more common among people who are out of shape, especially weekend warriors who engage in vigorous activity after sitting all week. Regular moderate exercise like walking on your lunch break is more beneficial, and the risk of injury is reduced significantly. Being overweight in the midsection shifts your center of gravity forward and puts additional strain on your back muscles. Pilates and other core strengthening activities improve balance and increase stability. Check with a medical professional before starting a new exercise program and practice proper conditioning. Start out slow and build up your endurance.
Are you living with chronic chronic pain, the specialists at Neurospine Institute can diagnose the problem and develop a personalized treatment plan to address your symptoms. Their comprehensive services include clinical and surgical procedures, sports medicine, physical therapy, medical imaging, and pain management. Neurospine Institute's medical professionals will work closely with your primary care or referring physician to ensure that you receive the best care and treatment. They serve all of Western Oregon with 2 locations, the main campus in Eugene and their Roseburg clinic. Visit neurospinellc.com today and get your life back.
There's another Republican never-Trumper, former Virginia Senator John Warner.
And no one should have the audacity to stand up and degrade the Purple Heart, degrade military families, or talk about the military being in a state of disaster. That's wrong.
Warner endorsed Hillary Clinton this morning at a rally with her running mate Tim Kaine. Later today, Bernie Sanders will campaign with her in New Hampshire. Now, about 50 other Republicans have come out for Trump.
Former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld, Ari Fleischer, who is the spokesman for the White House, John Ashcroft, the former Attorney General, Elaine Chao, who was Transportation and Labor in the Bush administration, Tommy Thompson, the former governor of Wisconsin, who was also Ag Secretary, and many, many more.
Fox's John Roberts. Trump's now holding a fundraiser in Illinois, then will later campaign in Iowa and Wisconsin. It's been more than 2 years since a Malaysia Airlines plane was shot down over Ukraine, and Dutch-led investigators say they have evidence pro-Moscow rebels had called for a Buk mobile missile launcher before the explosion from Russia and then sent it back after.
By now, there are 100 persons who in one way or another can be linked to the crash of flight MH17 or the transport of the Buck.
That's prosecutor Fred Vesterbeck. There is another protester to the national anthem joining Colin Kaepernick.
The incident involving the sailor allegedly occurred on September 19th as the national anthem played during a recent morning flag raising at Pearl Harbor. The sailor under investigation is Petty Officer 2nd Class Janae Irvin, an intelligence specialist in the Navy Reserve who was recently in Hawaii for an exercise.
That's Fox's John Decker. She says that she feels like it's hypocrites singing that song when she knows that it only applies to some Americans, being the land of the free. She could be disciplined by her commander. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
KPNW, good morning, 8:05. Live and local from the Widmer Brothers Studios here in Eugene. Wake up call coming to you. Final hour of a Wednesday go-round. Sunny and 75 today. Clear and 48 tonight. 73 tomorrow. Currently 56 degrees at KPNW. A couple of situations to talk about. Apparently, unless we're talking about something other than the flagging and the construction there on 126A West 11th and Bertelsen, I can't imagine that would be. It's possible. But we're getting reports that Highway 99 and Beltline by Jerry's is getting a backup there. So I don't see anything that would necessarily be a separate, totally, completely different situation. But if that's a snarl that's backed up that far, it I guess is possible. But we're getting reports that basically West Eugene and Bethel is not conducive to a smooth and fun commute.
And Highway 126, milepost 19, which is west of Leeburg, one lane there, and that's going to be the case for probably the next 3 to 4 hours. That accident we told you about that happened at about 3:20 this morning, unfortunately, was a fatal. And so Oregon State Police are out there reconstructing the scene, and that's going to be, again, about a 3-hour delay. So right now they think that fatigue may have been the contributing factor. So unfortunately, that's a bad thing. Apparently, the driver was killed, and a female passenger is at Riverbend for serious injuries. They hit a power pole out there. So bad day for some families, and that's very unfortunate. But that, again, is out there by Leeburg. 126E, they're down the one lane there, and will be for a while.
kind of hard to transition, but switching gears, remarkably, we've got tickets for the event that's coming up, and these are not, I thought they were just, getting you in, but these are $300 a ticket passes into not just your good seats, but apparently you get to kind of travel around.
They're all access passes. You get to, go down, you get to meet the Cowboys and talk to them. You get to...
Is that during the event as well?
I'm not sure during the event, but I know before and after. So you get to, you get to hang with the riders. You can go see the rough stock if you so desire to do that. You want to pet the pretty ball? I want to pet you. You can do that, and maybe even...
Now, don't say that if you don't get to do it. You actually get to talk and
yeah, you can talk to the rough stock if you want to.
No, talk, but do you get to touch them?
I think if you're interested in losing an arm, they're going to say, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Little know the show.
And by the way, these are for Saturday, October 2nd, and that's at Matt Knight Arena. It's going to be a big deal, and it's just all bull riding. So none of the other stuff. It's just people getting,
541-45 KPNW 888 KPNW 888. We'll know the show. Yesterday, I guess kind of a sad moment. Our last segment with Tommy, the 12-year-old. Why? Why was that the last segment with Tommy, the 12-year-old? 541-45 KPNW. If you know the show, first correct answer, and you got a pair of tickets worth $600. KPNW, any idea why yesterday was Tommy the 12-year-old's last segment on the Wake Up Call?
But this Tommy the 12-year-old is going to be 13.
Good knowledge.
Right on.
Very good. What's your name?
It's Michael.
Michael. Another correct answer. I'm telling you, you got some good tickets. We're talking about $300 a pop for a ticket. And you're going to be doing what Saturday at Matthew Knight?
Oh, I'm excited.
Going to check out the bull riding.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Good for you, Mike. We're gonna have you hang on the line here a second and get some information from you because we can tell you're stunned.
All right.
Hang on 1 second. Don't go anywhere. That's Michael, our big winner. Stand by. News is coming up. 8:10 now on KPNW.
It's back to school time and morning mayhem at its family finest. Well, stop the insanity and treat yourself and the kids to Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones. Save yourself a little stress and go through the Burrito Amigos drive-thru on West 6th in Eugene or on 42nd Street in Springfield. No fighting over milk, cereal, or the last piece of bacon. Burrito Amigos has great breakfast burritos like their bacon burritos with 2 types of bacon or the Menchaca burrito made with real Angus beef. Of course, if you're little one, or maybe you likes to spice things up, then maybe a chorizo breakfast burrito will kick it up a notch, to steal a phrase. Burrito Amigos drive-thrus also offer espresso for a meal and a mocha while you motor. For little appetites, there's the junior-sized burritos, and for your burgeoning linemen, get them full-size. The kids will love Burrito Amigos as a breakfast treat, and you'll love Burrito Amigos because you didn't have to make anything. I'm Bill London, and as a parent, I endorse Burrito Amigos as an instrument of morning mental health. Burrito Amigos in Springfield and Eugene.
Every election year, you hear lots of promises and few guarantees. Lars Larson here to tell you about one guarantee you have right here in Eugene and Lane County. Jeremy Parmenter will sell your home. That's right, Jeremy guarantees to sell your home at a price and a deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it. And Jeremy will sell your home fast. Darbin and Ruby wanted to sell their home and move out of the country. They didn't need the extra stress that comes with selling their home, so they called Jeremy Parmenter. He sold their home in less than 30 days, right on schedule, and got them $10,000 more than any house in that neighborhood. Why would you think of working with any other agent in Eugene or Lane County? And there's no risk. If you want out of the contract, you're out. Call the only agent I recommend in Eugene. Call Jeremy Parmenter at 541-255-5685. That's 541-255-5685. Online, OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com. That's OregonRealEstateAdvisors.com.
This is News Radio 1120 KPNW. And we've got the local story in the morning wake-up call.
This look at the news brought to you by Burrito Amigos, the friendly ones, featuring great breakfast burritos and fresh brewed locally roasted coffee for a tasty start to the morning. Here's what's going on. Well, Douglas County is going to be remembering the victims of the October 1st massacre at Umpqua Community College.
The elected officials here in Douglas County, along with other Douglas County officials, are planning to hold a brief ceremony on Friday afternoon. That's this Friday at 3 p.m. on the courthouse steps. Essentially, they're going to observe a moment of silence in remembrance of the victims of the horrible tragedy that we experienced here a year ago.
DeWes Hudson of the Douglas County Sheriff's Department says local pastor Randy Scroggins will deliver a short invocation followed by the observed moment of silence. Douglas County elected officials will stand in solidarity to remember the individuals who were killed and the other victims of the tragedy. Lane County Commissioners voted unanimously to provide some financial relief for the families of fallen police officers and firefighters. Commissioners passed an ordinance Tuesday morning that provides property tax exemptions for spouses of fire service professionals, police officers, and reserve officers killed in the line of duty. Oregon lawmakers passed a bill earlier this year in Salem allowing a county to provide the exemption for surviving spouses. County officials said a spouse would be exempt of all property taxes up to an assessed value of $250,000. They also said other taxing districts may see a loss as well. Nanny time! Lane County is moving closer to banning smoking and vaping on county-owned outdoor recreation areas. A proposed draft ordinance would ban illegal practices at county campgrounds, parks, and marinas. Marijuana, not mentioned. Commissioner Jay Bozovich was the only commissioner who opposed that proposal. Oregon students are doing better than the national average on the SATs. That's the good news. The bad news is that Brad Ford reports the scores continue to slide backwards.
On the reading part of the college entrance test, scores remained at 520, math was 515, and writing was 495, both down 3 points from the year before. Oregon scores are between 12 and 31 points higher than the national average. Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction, Salam Noor, says there's room for improvement. They want to see a higher number of students from historically underserved populations taking the test. 12% of students are Hispanic, while they comprise 22% of the public school population. The SAT was redesigned last year to align with Common Core state standards and to be more relevant for college admissions. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
If you're like me, you received a letter from a company called Active Outdoors. And if you're like me, you opened the letter to see that it says if you bought a fishing or hunting license before 2007 in Oregon, Washington, or Idaho, that information that you gave to get the license had been hacked. And if you're like me, at first you looked at the letter and you thought, is this real? Because there's no state seal on the letter. Well, guess what? It's not a fraud. It's real. The company is contracted by the state to issue hunting and fishing licenses, and last month they were hacked. The hackers took information of over 1 million people in Oregon and 2.5 million in Washington. Active Outdoors is giving anyone affected 2 years' worth of identity repair if you find that somebody has used your info to create fake IDs or other fraud. Experts believe your name, birth date, address at the time, and your physical description were all stolen. Congratulations. You can expect, like me, to start getting phony, or actually real bills from credit card companies, courtesy of the state of Oregon. Nice job, state. More proof that when it comes to computers and securing information, you continue to earn an F. Job well done. Pat yourselves on the back. The Portland chapter of the Satanic Temple has succeeded in efforts to bring an after-school program to a Portland elementary school. The organization has been approved to begin a program on October 19th at Sacramento Elementary School. Finn Rez, one of the group's leaders, says their program focuses on science and rational thinking, and it'll promote benevolence and empathy for everybody. Okay. The Satanic Temple has been targeting schools that have a Good News Club. It's a club that's put on by the Child Evangelism Fellowship. The prosecution has wrapped its case in the trial of 7 occupiers of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, and Brad Ford reports The prosecution dumped a lot of evidence in front of the jury yesterday.
Witnesses for the prosecution laid the groundwork for the evidence, saying there were many guns and a lot of ammunition. FBI agents brought 22 long guns and 12 handguns before the jury. They also brought thousands of shell casings and live ammunition. Their goal is to prove federal employees were intimidated against doing their jobs. Defense attorneys argue that no one was threatened. The defense will now begin presenting its case. 4 of the defendants have attorneys and 3 are representing themselves. They're expected to argue their demonstration was within the bounds of the U.S. Constitution. The defendants are charged with conspiring to keep federal workers from doing their jobs. Brad Ford, KPNW.
An Oregon sheriff repeatedly invoked his right against self-incrimination while being questioned under oath about his email practices. Grant County Sheriff Glenn Palmer was questioned twice last week by an attorney representing the Oregonian, which sued the sheriff in an effort to obtain public records. Palmer did answer questions during the deposition about his knowledge of state law governing public records, his handling of requests for records, and his cell phone use. But questions about his personal email account prompted Fifth Amendment claims. He declined to follow up on any other requests for comments on his personal email. Palmer attracted attention earlier this year when he met with the occupiers of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. He says he considers himself a constitutional sheriff and that he vowed to protect citizens against an abusive government. A central issue in the dispute is Palmer's use of his personal email account to conduct public business. The Oregonian sought work-related emails dating back to November of 2015. Palmer said in court filings his practice is to print out important emails from his personal account, file them, and then delete from the system. Though the lawsuit filed against the sheriff is civil, the Oregon Department of Justice opened a criminal investigation of the sheriff over an allegation he tampered with government records 4 years ago. That investigation is still active. Palmer, by the way, is running for re-election this year. A former Philomath football player and most recently assistant Warrior football coach was arraigned in Clatsop County Circuit Court yesterday. 22-year-old Cooper Kakuta, who was a volunteer assistant coach, was arraigned on a charge of second-degree criminal mistreatment. That's a Class A misdemeanor, and he could get up to a year of prison if he's found guilty. Kakuta is accused of playing a role in what prosecutors call aggravated hazing while the Philomath football team was at Camp Riley last July. Officials say Kakuta was left in charge of the team and was criminally negligent by withholding necessary and adequate physical care. A not guilty plea was entered on his behalf. The next court appearance, scheduled for December 8th. Kakuta was released after being booked into the Clatsop County Jail. This whole issue of hazing saw a number of senior football players on the varsity team go in front of a judge. Most of them have made pleas of guilt. And it also saw the cessation of the varsity football program for this year. Well, the longest-serving director of the Oregon Department of Agriculture is leaving at the end of the week. Brad Ford reports Katie Koba says it's the best job in state government, which begs the question, then why is she leaving it?
Katie Koba says she's proud of what she's accomplished over the last 13 years and how agriculture has advanced in the state.
Being able to wave that flag and be the proud director of the Department of Agriculture representing Oregon agriculture is by far all encompasses my proudest moments.
Koba says she's most proud of helping to open Oregon agricultural products to new markets and making Oregonians aware of what agriculture means to the state. She says it's been one of the highlights of her life.
Very, very special, and it's been an incredible opportunity and certainly the highlight of my career.
Next week, Koba becomes Oregon's Chief Operating Officer and Director of the Department of Administrative Services. I'm Brad Ford, KPNW.
This look at the news has been brought to you by Burrito Amigos. It's 8:21 at KPNW.
Wake Up Call Sports on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
Almost as if the New York Mets gave the Miami Marlins a gift in the form of a win in their tribute game to their fallen teammate as they got back to winning. The Mets did 12-1 over those same Marlins. Jay Bruce and Yoenis Cespedes, both with home runs. Mets, Giants, Cardinals all separated by one game for the National League wild card. AL Boston Red Sox trying to win their American League East title, their first in 3 years. But it's a night for the Yankees. Yankees win 6-4, so the champagne will wait. To soccer, Portland Timbers won their first road win of the season as they win on a free kick in stoppage, 1-0. That should move them into the Champions League. Local prep South Eugene volleyball swept crosstown rival Sheldon. Axe women beat the Irish at home for the first time in 23 years. Swept them. Their 8th straight win. Boys soccer, Willamette plays South Medford to a 1-1 draw. Churchill wins their second game of the season, 1-0 over Marist. And Cresswell won their fifth straight. This one 5-3 over Lapine there. Wake Up Call Sports on KPNW, brought to you by Max Muscle. Where's your finish line? Set a goal, make a plan, get results. Max Muscle in Eugene on Franklin and Cross for market of choice. Reminder at 8:22, if you can not hit West 11th out there near Bertelsen or 99, it is a mess out there. We've got situations everywhere. Avoid it if you can.
KPNW weather brought to you by Ramjack West. Do you have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Get your free quote at ramjackwest.com.
Good morning to you and yours. If you're headed out that door in the next few minutes or you're already out and about, conditions out there are fairly mild. Temps right now are coming in the upper 40s to low 50s with mostly clear skies. Light winds out of the north at 5 to 10, and we do have some patchy light fog off and on. Now, the fog will be gone by about 10 a.m. This afternoon will be between systems as the high pressure that cooked us a couple of days ago has pulled away to the east, but the next approaching storm system hasn't reached us yet. That means mostly sunny skies. Temps much nicer in the mid to upper 70s out there with a few low 80s. 76 here in Towns. Winds will shift to the northwest at 5 to 10 late in the afternoon. Now, we are tracking a major storm system set to move in late Friday night, bringing a good chance at showers off and on all the way through the weekend and into early next week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Nation, the NBC 16 Weather Center, hoping you have a fantastic day.
Does your home or business have foundation problems? Ramjack can fix that. Discover why Ramjack is the only foundation company you'll ever need. Get your free in-home evaluation at ramjackwest.com. Choose Ramjack. CCV 146906.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Chris with Home Comfort. When we say the one to call,
the one means no matter what the problem.
From security lighting, generator systems, panel changeouts, service upgrades, with technicians available 24/7.
Or HVAC, from routine cleanings to breakdowns. Home Comfort's locally supported by Mitsubishi Electric, so their Mitsubishi Electric factory-trained technicians will ready your house for any season.
Make one call to 541-345-2838.
Home Comfort, the one to call.
Tom here at Max Muscle. You've heard about all the amazing flavors of Max Pro, and now the wait is over. S'mores. The new flavor of Max Pro is in stores now. The perfect high-protein, low-carb, no-sugar shake. Come on in, give it a try. Max Muscle on Franklin Boulevard, across from the Market of Choice.
Welcome to the show that really stinks. Odor Events, brought to you by Citrus Magic. Today, the Jones family will name all the odor events they can in 30 seconds. Ready? Go!
Rotten garbage can.
Yes, Molly.
Ew, musty basement.
Good. Jimmy.
Poopy diaper.
Yep. Haley.
Smelly socks.
Yes, Dave.
Stinky litter box.
Yes, Molly.
Ugh, funky fridge fumes.
Good. Jimmy.
Potty odor PU.
Yes, Haley.
Dad's feet. Wait, cat pee.
You're out of time. I'm sorry. See you again next week for...
That's squirrel.
Odor Events, the show that really stinks.
Get rid of the odor events in your home with Citrus Magic. The strength of its citrus makes odors disappear, leaving the fresh scent of natural citrus. Look for Citrus Magic in the air freshener aisle in Target, Kroger, Safeway, Publix, Walmart, and other fine stores everywhere.
The Vietnam Veterans Memorial Moving Wall is coming to Eugene's Skinner Butte Park September 29th through October 2nd. This one-half-size replica will be on display for 4 days only along the Riverwalk. The opening ceremonies begin at 12 noon on Thursday, September 29th, featuring local dignitaries, Color Guard, Honors Team, the Oregon National Guard Marching Band, and a flyover from the Oregon Air National Guard. Come experience the Moving Wall beginning September 29th, presented by the Eugene chapter of the Military Officers Association of America. Mid-Lane Truck and Equipment Repair would like to remind you that weather is changing and winter is right around the corner. Getting your vehicle ready requires more than just installing snow tires. Your antifreeze protection needs to be checked, belts and hoses inspected and replaced if needed, and windshield wipers replaced for clear vision ahead. Stop by Mid-Lane Truck and Equipment Repair today to schedule an appointment, and don't let old man winter leave you out in the cold. Call 541-345-7570 or visit midlanetruckequiprepair.com.
All right, so here we are, end of the summer, we're into fall, and if your carpet has been trashed over the course of the summer from people and dogs and pets and everything being in and out of the house constantly, now would be a good time to save some dough and have Zero Res come out and take a look at your carpet and clean it for you. Zero Res is a little bit different from the other guys, actually quite a bit different, in as much as they don't use chemicals or detergents to clean your carpet. If you're somebody that has sensitivities to chemicals, that's important. And if you're somebody who just wants to keep your carpet cleaner longer, it's also important, because when those shampoos or those chemicals dry, have you ever noticed your carpet will feel almost a little bit gritty, sometimes kind of just a little bit greasy after it's been cleaned? Zero Res uses a process called empowered water, and it's pretty simple. They take softened water, they run it through an electrolysis process, which you'd think, oh, that's advanced chemistry. No, actually, it's physics, it turns out. And it changes the pH of the water, allowing it to be more alkali and lift a majority of stains. Once you take it away from the electrolysis process, what occurs is the water goes back to being just plain old water. So what's drying off your carpet is just water evaporating. You don't have the residue, and it's that residue that attracts more stains. Give Zero Res a call. Say that Bill London or KPNW told you to call. They'll save 15% off all of their services on 3 rooms. If you book 5 rooms, you get 20% off. Give them a call, 541-9880. That's 541-988-ZERO. Or simply do the Google thing and look for Zero Res of Eugene. It's pretty easy, and you're going to save some bucks.
The Wake Up Call with Holloway and London on News Radio 1120 KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. Well, as we teased a little bit earlier, Lane County, and in particular its elections division, finds itself at the center of a new lawsuit that was filed by our next guest. Stan Long, who has been on the show once before, joins us here on the Wake Up Call. He is a retired attorney, and he's back. And Stan, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Last time you were on the show, we talked about this particular issue that eventually led you to file the lawsuit. But for people that didn't hear that particular segment and don't remember, just do kind of a brief synopsis of what it was that you were talking about the last time you were on, because it's the center, essentially, of the lawsuit we're talking about now.
The issue that caught my attention and caused me to take time away from fishing and other things that retired people do is the county is obligated to conduct fair elections. That includes the initiative process. There are now and have always been rules for initiatives. One of the most important ones that applies both to the Oregon Constitution and to county charters is you can present amendments to the Constitution or the county charter only one at a time. What's that rule all about? Well, it's a common sense requirement that prevents the initiative process from looking like Washington, D.C., where they log roll issues and make you accept a bad idea to vote on a good one. So they attach all these crazy riders to budgets. They attach this statute to that. Oregon has never, ever allowed that. So we take amendments of major changes to our Constitution and local government charters one at a time. That is a right that every citizen has. I was looking at a proposed county ordinance, which I supported because I don't think that we've got what we need locally to run fair, honest, mistake-free elections, and noticed some measures that I thought were obviously in violation of that principle. I checked with some lawyers that are still active in municipal law, local government law. They confirmed that the county has been approving multiple amendment proposals, which forces the public to vote on major changes in bundles instead of one at a time. I asked the county to stop doing that and comply with state statute and the state constitution. I asked them to indicate whether or not they accepted that statute as applying to them, and if so, when were they going to review these measures? Their answer was very odd. Their answer was, well, we're not going to do anything now. We'll wait and see if it collects signatures, and then we'll ask the court what we should do. Obviously a very provocative response. Either you have a duty or you don't. Either you're going to do it or you're not. The government's first obligation is to always obey the law. When the government makes a mistake, if that's what's happened here, where they gave people a shortcut to major changes to the charter, if you made a mistake, you should act quickly and fix it, figure out what happened, and move on. The county's been remarkably uncurious about what happened. I mean, the first thing you'd do, first thing most reasonable people would do, is find out, well, why aren't we complying with that statute? Or decide that you're not going to, that it doesn't apply to you. Well, it's so clear that it applies to the county, and always has. So to put it off, you'd say, well, why would they put off the determination and let people collect signatures and then take this up? Well, the answer is that's a trap and a trick that was obviously intended to provoke a lawsuit. Because there's some jurisprudence at the state level where they have the same rules for the Constitution, that if you don't make that review in a timely way, you don't make it at all. So suggesting you wait until right before the election denies people the opportunity to appeal the county's decision on the one amendment rule, right? And hands another advantage to the group that the county has already given a shortcut to major changes in the laws we all have to live by. Well, that was enough for me. So
you filed the suit.
I'm going to ask the judge to remind the county that their first obligation is to obey the law, and this isn't a time to play word games with we might do it and we might not do it. We'll let you know later. That isn't the way you deal with the rights of everyone to take issues one at a time in a deliberate fashion. That one-at-a-time feature in Oregon law is fundamental to our state and to local government, and to pretend like it's not important, or it's a maybe I will and maybe I won't, and maybe I'll do it at a time where it's too late to do it, that isn't a reasonable answer. So I think perhaps they wanted a lawsuit, and if they did, they have one.
All right. What was the initiative in question? And again, briefly, what was the initiative in question that is part of this suit, and how did it violate, or in your mind and your lawyers, how does it violate that single issue rule?
All right. I'm not particularly interested in those three measures. I probably wouldn't vote for them. They're very difficult to read. They're essentially, in many ways, incoherent. They include provisions that change the relationship between the state of Oregon and the federal government, which, of course, is impossible and violates the Supremacy Clause we all learned about in grade school. It changes the rules for things from how do you grow food to
GMO.
Yeah. Odd proposals, and they're multi-proposals, create new lawsuits, create changes in property law, create changes in civil rights, all in one package. I mean, it's chaos. So one of the things that has distracted people's attention is a side argument about those measures. I don't care what they are. And I would do the same thing if my favorite measure were on the ballot, because the principle of free, objective elections is critical. Local government's supposed to be efficient, technically competent.
What world do you live in, Stan?
No, I said supposed to be. And to the extent that it's not, if it acts pixelated, as it does in this instance, that rule wasn't designed for hobbits and Ewoks. It was designed for the commissioners. And either they're going to comply with it or not. My request to them was, indicate whether you accept that as your responsibility or you don't. An answer, maybe I'll let you know later, was obviously intended to try to kick the can down the road or cause somebody to bounce the issue to the court. In other words, a political response. And politicizing local government doesn't make it better. In my judgment, it makes it worse. So, this is about the rule of law. The measures don't matter. They don't matter to me. I probably won't, after trying to read them, to be honest and straightforward this early in the morning, they're incoherent. And they will never pass muster from a constitutional perspective. Even the most devout proponent, Justice Sloan, was on the Supreme Court when I was young, believed that even he didn't think there should be any restrictions whatsoever on initiatives, but he did recognize in one of his dissents that violating the supremacy clause in a measure had the effect of eliminating the clerk's duty to put the measure on the ballot, which makes sense. I mean, if somebody proposed a measure to hang people without a trial, you really want to vote on that? I mean, that's what is called pointless. Most of the odd provisions in these three measures are truly pointless, and they're part of some political strategy, I guess, which I don't understand, about pressuring the legislature about this issue or that. That's all fine. People can spend all the time they want on that. I would prefer to spend none. What I'm willing to spend time on is whether the commission, the county, is going to follow the rule of law. Because next time they decide that the voters don't have a right to vote on major changes in our organic law one at a time, may be something really important. You know, I don't like the business. I don't like log rolling. It's a corrupt practice. It's one of the things that makes Washington, D.C. so unseemly, is to make you accept a change in Planned Parenthood in order to pass a budget. That's not right. That's the business. That's monkey business. And to see that for the first time at the local level was enough to cause me to put up my fishing pole and let my golf scores deteriorate and file a lawsuit. I'm retired, and happily so, and I would prefer to be doing something else.
Okay. That said, what do you? So you've said that you're asking for a judge to intervene in this. Are you asking for any monetary damage against it?
No. I chose a surgical approach. I don't want to influence what people think about other measures or other issues. I only want the county to salute the Constitution.
And have you had any reply from the county, the county's council, Steve Dingle?
None that I could discuss on a show that's regulated by the FCC. In other words, I didn't like their response very much. And so let's just say that it was provocative.
Okay. All right. So when is, is this the type of thing that is going to be quickly ruled on? I mean, is there some way, because
there is a procedure. Reviewing a decision made in the election process can be expedited by the court because of the importance of fair, objective, open, well-regulated elections. So we've asked that this be given priority because, look at it from the other side.
Yeah.
If I were running an initiative, I'd want an answer to the question of whether my measure passed constitutional muster up front before I spent money on it.
Yeah.
This isn't fair to the people who think they got an advantage. I mean, they got a shortcut, but it's not fair to them either, because if they go out and collect signatures and then the county rules as they propose to, or the court rules, they've wasted their time. So making an early, timely decision is in everybody's best interest, and that's the one thing the counties refuse to do.
All right. With that, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. Do you have any final closing statements, counsel?
No, it's one of those things where people just need to follow it. It's actually more important than it sounds. It's a little bit abstract and maybe even arcane.
Well, no,
it's
because
very important.
I mean, this is a basic issue that the Secretary of State's office deals with on a regular basis.
Well, it's interesting you say that. One of the measures, virtually identical, was filed as a state measure. The Attorney General and the Secretary of State bounced it for violating the one amendment rule. So they came down to Lane County and filed the same thing and got it approved, when the standards are identical for amending the Constitution or the Charter, as you would assume they would be. It's common sense. So what makes you think it doesn't pass muster in Salem, but it's okay in Eugene? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And that alone justifies somebody saying, excuse me, what are you doing and why are you doing it? So the county tabled all the corrections and tabled the process of an ordinance that would prevent this and lay out clear timelines for people and lay out clear standards for people so you wouldn't have to bounce back and forth between state statutes and local rules and past practices. They said, no, we're going to put that off. And no, we're going to put off deciding if we should comply with that statute. And yes, we're going to let people go collect signatures and waste time and then rule on it, and maybe you'll have time for an appeal and maybe you won't. Well, that's not an acceptable, rational answer.
Stan Long on the Wake Up Call this morning discussing a lawsuit that he has just filed against Lane County. Thanks for coming back on the show. Thanks for being a resource. We appreciate it, and you have a great rest of your day, Stan.
Thank you.
All right. It is 8:42, News Radio 1120 KPNW.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen has painted a rosy picture of Wall Street's health for lawmakers at a congressional hearing today. She said the largest lenders have, quote, strengthened considerably, having doubled their capital since the financial crisis to almost $800 billion, and increased easy-to-sell assets by more than $1 trillion in the last 5 years. Oil trading at $44 a barrel as government data showed crude stockpiles declined to the lowest level since February. That's putting pressure on stocks, which have turned lower in the session. SAB Miller shareholders have approved the $103 billion takeover by Anheuser-Busch InBev. The SAB Miller name will disappear. A predecessor company of SAB Miller started selling beer to gold miners in Johannesburg in 1895. It acquired Miller Brewing in 2002. Tyson Foods is recalling chicken nuggets that may be contaminated with hard plastic. The voluntary recall includes 5-pound bags of panko nuggets sold at Costco locations around the country. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg.
At Michelob Ultra, we know it's not just about how much you work out every day. It's about how much you work into every day, too. That's why we brew a beer for those who realize that expending calories should never come at the expense of spending time with friends. And for those who understand that just because you work out doesn't mean you can't go out. Hey, that's why we brew Michelob Ultra to have 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, and an exceptional taste. Michelob Ultra, brewed for those who go the extra mile. Enjoy responsibly. 2016 Michelob Ultra Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, 0.6 grams protein, 0 grams fat per 12 ounces.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. Now there's finally a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. You can even add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's the Transcend Mini CPAP, and if you're one of the first 100 callers, you can try Transcend risk-free for 10 days. So call now, 1-800-700-4950. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. To guarantee your 10-day in-home trial, you must be one of the first 100 callers to call minicpap.com now. 1-800-700-4950. Again, that's 1-800-700-4950.
Building or remodeling? Get qualified and reliable contractors, suppliers, and subcontractors through the Home Builders Association of Lane County. Visit hbalanecounty.org or call the Home Builders Association and get help from the experts.
Okay, so, sleeping, it's a good thing. Getting enough slumber is a great thing. It's amazing from skin to health to energy levels to how people perceive you to even your golf game. It's all-encompassing, and if you are not feeling good, if you're waking up today going, is it Friday yet? You might need to kind of up the ante and upgrade in the mattress department. Our advice to you, we say before you go in, if you want to do some comparison shopping, make your first stop Sleep Train. They got the brands. They've got the guarantees where basically after a month or 2 months, 3 months, the comfort factor or you find a better deal, they're going to do what it does, do what they do to make you happy and to make you a repeat customer. I would love to see the repeat customers that Sleep Train gets because it has to be off the charts. They make people happy and people are sleeping better than ever before, the people that go to Sleep Train. In Eugene, Springfield, Corvallis, and Salem, and tell them you're like this with the wake-up call. It is Sleep Train.
The top stories and the most in-depth local coverage.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for your listening and dancing enjoyment.
The Wake Up Call with Holloway in London. News Radio 1120 KPNW.
News Radio 1120 KPNW. Hey, look, the president is back. It's Denise Gazelle of Pacific Continental Bank. She is the local area president of the Eugene market, and she joins us again on the Wake Up Call.
By the way, we should acknowledge the bank because CMN just gave you kudos and appreciation there over at Riverbend.
As well as you, so thank you very much. It was an honor to be part of that process. It was great to see all the teams participate. So, yeah, we're in very good company, so thank you.
Wow. Was that a compliment? Did we get a compliment?
So.
She's in good
wasn't
company.
Even underhanded. That was sweet.
Actually direct.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
She's nicer than you are.
Yeah, we generally don't get that kind of response.
It was a great event.
Usually we're shunned. People don't make eye contact. They back away from us, sort of like feral dogs.
They're radio.
My.
Yeah, no, stop away. Anyway, it's always nice to have you in. PCB does a lot with local area businesses. I mean, I would say that you guys really, and gals, really do kind of specialize in working with local area businesses. And one of the things we wanted to talk about this morning was this whole idea of deferred maintenance and why businesses do it and why necessarily that may not be the right thing to do under all cases. So let's kind of start there.
Well, let's talk about that. So, yes, and if you think about deferred maintenance, it really is about putting things on the shelf for a period of time, whereas you may need to have to deal with those things today. So if we think about business owners who are perhaps in a growth cycle and really looking to fund that growth with their current capital base, then that capital base is used up to help support that growth versus maybe funding capital improvements or investments or deferred maintenance.
Yeah.
At some point, the business owner is going to have to deal with a leaky roof or a cracked sidewalk or a faulty HVAC system. So, so putting it on the shelf may be the right answer today, but at some point they're going to want to implement some sort of strategy that says, I know these are the things I need to think about going forward, the faulty HVAC system, the leaky roof, and over the next period of 12, 18, 24 months, etc., I need to implement a game plan so that I can take care of those things.
It was one thing during the recession. I mean, and it wasn't just businesses. I mean, people weren't taking their cars in for just basic routine maintenance. And a number of different folks that I know in the business community, talked about the fact that there were things that they needed to do, basic maintenance things, that because things were so tight and business was so bad, they just didn't feel like that they could spend the money to do it. I would imagine that probably there is a glut of projects like that people probably, or business owners, business managers have been putting off simply for that reason. And now that things are a little bit better, they want to make some coin before they spend the money again.
Exactly. Again, putting things off is not always the best case. If you think about implementing a business plan or a strategy, let's talk about where do you need to use that capital. And if the capital base within your own organization or balance sheet or your personal finances is really tight, then let's talk about other options to help deal with funding capital improvements that may be necessary, that may be required today. But yeah, there is a little bit of pent-up demand, in my opinion, in the local environment. I mean, for example, I'll speak to Pacific Continental Bank. We are looking at our own facilities in this geographic area. We have not necessarily put the investments into those facilities that perhaps we should have through the recession. Now that things are a little better, we really are looking at...
Do the alarm system work?
The
I'm
alarm
just curious.
systems work. Security
Okay.
is solid. That's always a real positive and priority, of
I just
course.
wanted to make
That's
sure.
like a non-negotiable for us. That has to happen.
Okay.
That has to happen. But, you know, we're just now going through a large capital improvement process at our Olive Street office, which is really behind the scenes. Our clients wouldn't necessarily see that, or the community wouldn't necessarily see that. So we're investing a fair amount of money in the infrastructure of the building itself. A new roof, you're not going to see that. The new HVAC system, you're not going to see that. So working to understand what those facilities needs are, and then prioritizing where you put those dollars. If necessary, let's talk about other alternative solutions, perhaps financing of some of those investments, whether it's, you know, in-house financial institution money, or whether that's tapping into government programs that specifically offer funding sources to help with that exact type of need. So, for example, the Small Business Administration is a great example of acquiring tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars for capital improvements that perhaps now your payback period goes anywhere from 5 to 7 to 10 years. So when a business owner thinks about how you spread that need over a period of time, it may not be you need to come to the table with $100,000 to do the capital improvement today. You may not have that in your capital base. Rather, or perhaps you do, but you're financing growth. So it's all about really thinking about the model, the plan, the strategy, and then executing on that strategy.
I'm just curious on something like, for instance, the HVAC system, since you've brought it up like 3 or 4 times here, and you just said that that's one of the things you're doing.
Right.
Is that something where you can get, for instance, I know that on an individual basis, that if you upgrade, say, your heat pump or something like that, you can actually get tax breaks from the state of Oregon and sometimes even your utility. Is that something, if you're upgrading an HVAC system, that you can get some sort of Department of Energy, grant or, tax break on or something like
Well,
that?
I do think that there are programs out there. I'm not necessarily prepared to speak specifically to those, but I do think
come on.
I think that there are programs out there, whether it's through the utility companies or even to the degree that you're tapping into the local city and county resources. That would also be another option.
Yeah.
Denise, if you could, talk about how you just talked about going through your own, changes and things like that I think a lot of people wouldn't talk about. Right. How does that tie you closer to the businesses out there that are going through the same things, where you can kind of sit there and go, hey, we know exactly what you're going to, and they maybe have a little bit of respect going, hey, they're going through the same thing that I'm going through.
Right. Well, I think it's relatable, right? I mean, we serve a business population in this community. We are a local community-based business, and so it's very relatable for business owners to understand we're going through the same challenges that they're going through. Then executing or coming up with a business plan or a strategy to implement those things is really important. From a community banker standpoint, one of my responsibilities is to have this kind of conversation with our business owners. The other thing I think about is when I drive around town and I see these big, beautiful buildings coming up, or local business investing in significant infrastructure within their own business, what that tells me as a consumer, as a community individual, is they're here for the long run, right? They're investing in their future. They're investing within our community. They're taking those dollars and putting others to work within our own local environment, and that's a really positive thing to hear, to see.
So what you're saying is if you look at it as sort of like water, that money flows throughout the community.
Absolutely. It also sends a message to the employee base for that business that they're here for the long haul. They're looking to the future.
All right. Denise Gazelle, the president of Pacific Continental Bank. If you want more information, I'm sure you have a website or something like that, because I think you're kind of 21st century and stuff.
That's exactly right. www.therightbank.com, or feel free to reach out to me directly, 541-984-2222.
All right. Denise, always nice to have you in the studio. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
All right, you take care. That's it for us. It's a wrap.
Hey, before we go, happy birthday to Tommy the teen. Tommy the 12-year-old having a birthday today. And if you missed the snafu out there on the, Beltline was a mess earlier today. Looks like things have kind of resolved itself, and still got the flaggers there at Bertelsen and 126/West 11. So that's still there, but not as bad as it was. We'll see you tomorrow, 6:05, right here on KPNW.
Hey, guys, watch my new bike trick. Whoa!
Accidents happen. When they do, Mackenzie Willamette Medical Center can help you get on the road to recovery faster. With the area's only 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, we will work to have you initially seen by a medical professional in 30 minutes or less. Less waiting, faster care. Only at Mackenzie Willamette Medical Center. Mackenzie Willamette Medical Center is owned in part by physicians.
Bill and Tim's is barbecue and a whole lot more.
Bill, barbecue is the very air we breathe.
I know, Tim, but it isn't for everyone all the time. That's why Bill and Tim's expanded menu is a big hit.
True, we don't look like a men's club in here anymore.
Golden mac and cheese balls, Mexican specialty dishes, gourmet salads. What new dish will you be trying today, Tim?
I'm ready to branch out.
Great.
Give me the barbecue bacon cheeseburger.
Tim. Bill and Tim's Barbecue.
Open at 11 daily.
13th and Pearl in Eugene.
The Bloomberg Market Report, sponsored by Pacific Continental Bank, serving your business and community in Eugene for over 40 years.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks and oil erasing gains as traders are assessing remarks from Federal Reserve officials. Fed Chair Janet Yellen told lawmakers that the U.S. will continue to add jobs at a solid rate, though the recent average pace is probably higher than what's sustainable over the long term and would eventually cause the economy to overheat. Meantime, crude slumping below $45 a barrel as OPEC ministers meet in Algiers. Corrections Corporation of America expects to eliminate 12% of its workforce. Last month, the Justice Department said it would begin phasing out private prisons, and Homeland Security said it would review its use. Workwear for the American woman is experiencing an identity crisis, and executives are puzzled over what she wants. Banana Republic has posted 6 straight quarters of negative comp store sales, and Ann Taylor has struggled to keep women interested as more casual styles are adopted. Both labels are trying to fix that by infusing clothes with patterns, color, and new silhouettes without alienating their core customer. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Fox News, fair and balanced. We report, you decide. On News Radio 1120 KPNW Eugene.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. The CIA chief now warning of grave implications for national security if the Senate overrides the president's veto of a 9/11-related bill. Fox Radio's Jared Halpern, live on Capitol Hill.
A supermajority of Republicans and Democrats are expected to override the president's veto of an anti-terror bill that would give families of 9/11 victims the opportunity to sue Saudi Arabia. President Obama vetoed the measure, citing diplomatic concerns and warning it could lead to lawsuits targeting Americans abroad. Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal says this measure doesn't prejudge any verdict.
It gives both sides a fair day in court.
The House and Senate voted by voice and without noted opposition in favor of the measure. A successful veto override in the Senate would set up a veto vote in the House. Lisa.
Jared, another vote today could break the stalemate over a temporary spending bill to keep the government up and running past Friday. Funding Democrats wanted for Flint, Michigan's water crisis has been added as an amendment to a separate bill up for a Senate vote. The FBI chief just telling Congress that stop and frisk is an important tool when it's used correctly. It's been struck down by some courts, and Donald Trump's been criticized recently for supporting the tactic. Comey also telling a House hearing the FBI is working on a new database to track police use of deadly force.
We're making progress. We will have this done
I'd like to have it done in the next year. Certainly in the next 2 years, this database will be up and running because everybody gets why it matters so much.
Meantime, a police shooting in Minnesota now in the hands of prosecutors. Investigators turning over their findings in the death of Philando Castile, whose girlfriend posted the aftermath on Facebook when Castile was killed during a traffic stop. Secretary of State Kerry now threatening to cut off all contacts with Moscow over Syria unless Russian and Syrian government attacks on the city of Aleppo end. He spoke to Russia's foreign minister by phone today. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Is the economy booming? Why is the stock market up? Hey, it's an election year. Anything goes. No matter who wins, stocks look overbought. Move into silver. Use your retirement account. Do it right. Why pay setup and storage fees? Special offer. Free setup and storage fees. Learn how. Call Goldworth. Request your guide free. 800-257-GOLD. 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 Visit goldworth.com.
Hiring people is probably the worst part of my job.
We started using ZipRecruiter about 3 months ago. One click and my job was posted to 100+ job boards, all the top sites.
All of the candidates came to my dashboard, and it's easy to compare them.
And I couldn't believe the number of great applicants we got. I don't know how we hired before ZipRecruiter.
Find the best candidates with ZipRecruiter, where your job is just one click away from 100+ job sites. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/start. That's ZipRecruiter.com.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Deb Carson.
Well, it is official. Houston does have a problem. The Texans have officially placed star defensive end J.J. Watt on injured reserve after he re-injured his back during Thursday's loss to the New England Patriots. They did make a move, signing defensive lineman Antonio Smith, who played for the Texans from 2009 to 2013. Meanwhile, in baseball news, the Nationals currently lead the Dodgers by 2 games for home field advantage in their National League Division Series. Nationals have already been dealt one blow